Chapter 1633. Xiongbo's expression turned ugly when he heard that. He didn't expect so many demons to not give him face and cause trouble on the spot. What? Xiongbo, do you think you're still the same as before? You were defeated by a bald donkey of the Luohan and had all your hair shaved off? You've long become the laughingstock of the Western universe. Now, you still dare to speak loudly here. You really have no sense of shame. If I were you, I would have killed myself with a piece of tofu so that I wouldn't continue to embarrass myself. At that moment, a bronze scorpion spoke. Its entire body seemed to be made of bronze and emitted waves of green light. It was in the shape of a liquid and was extremely hard. It emitted an awe-inspiring might. The bronze scorpion was an absolutely tyrannical demon in the universe. It had a full body of bronze armor and unparalleled defense. It rarely had a match. It also had an unparalleled scorpion venom. Ordinary demons had to respect it. Xiongbo was furious. Although he knew that his status was not as good as before, he didn't expect to be looked down upon by his peers. All of them dared to look down on him. Scorpion, did I allow you to speak? You're quite bold to dare look down on my brother. Do you want to be steamed or barbecued? Xiaoping shouted. The demons were in an uproar. This human was extremely arrogant to be targeted by so many demons. He still dared to speak so loudly. Didn't he know that he was making an enemy of so many demons? He should quickly tuck his tail between his legs. Lowly human, do you know who you're talking to? Don't you know that a loose tongue can cause trouble? Be careful, it won't be just you. Even the family behind you will flow with rivers of blood. The bronze scorpion's eyes revealed a fierce glint. Its body was filled with a terrifying, murderous aura. It had killed at least 8,000 humans. It didn't care if it had one more undead on its hands. This human is tired of living. Let me kill him. Suddenly, the silver tiger seemed to be unable to bear it any longer. It charged at Xiaoping. Silver-white runes came crashing down like a flood. Its power was boundless and terrifying, almost destroying the ground. A strong wind swept in all directions, causing the surrounding demons to retreat quickly. Otherwise, they would definitely be affected. Brother Xia, Xiongbo exclaimed. He wanted to stop it, but the silver tiger was too fast. He was caught off guard. Before he could do anything, the silver tiger had arrived in front of Xiaoping. A terrifying tiger claw slammed down. With such power, even a mountain would be smashed into smithereens. The surrounding demons were filled with pity as they shook their heads. It was as though they could already imagine the human being smashed in a meat paste by the silver tiger's claws, dying without a complete corpse. But in the next second, they saw a scene that shocked them. Xiaoping stood in place, not moving at all. A thin layer of energy appeared on his body, and the tiger's claw slammed against it. The group of demons thought that the silver tiger would be able to easily shatter the energy barrier. They never expected that the silver tiger would instead let out a blood-curdling screech as it received a powerful rebounding force. Its body was sent flying for several kilometers as it let out a blood-curdling screech. Its claws were numb and blood seeped out, but Xiaoping remained motionless, standing in the same place. Is that all you've got? Silver tiger. Xiaoping looked at the silver tiger indifferently. Human, don't look down on my silver tiger. The silver tiger was infuriated when it saw Lin Fan's gaze and tone. It would lose face if it couldn't take care of Lin Fan in front of so many monsters and geniuses. Roar! The silver tiger's 4 hooves slammed on the ground, letting out an earth-shattering roar. The entire ground cracked, and the shockwave spread for thousands of miles. The surroundings were filled with terrifying killing intent. Go to hell, bastard human! The silver tiger pounced towards Lin Fan. The silver light on its body flowed and turned into a silver light screen. The silver light screen was filled with runes and formed a terrifying array. This attack was comparable to the attack of a peak-returning True Realm cultivator. But when the attack landed on Xiaoping's body, it was instantly wrapped up by layers of Kuan Peng runes. Layer by layer, the attack was weakened and quickly neutralized. In the end, the silver tiger's attack turned into nothingness as if it was swallowed by the sea. Oh my God! The surrounding demons were stunned. They could see how terrifying the silver tiger's attack was. None of the demons present had the confidence to block it and could only avoid it. But this human didn't even move and easily blocked the attack. It was too exaggerated. Xiaobo also rubbed his eyes. This was the first time he saw Xia Ping display such tyrannical strength. Previously, when he dealt with the zombie monsters, he also made a move. But that time it was too fast. Before it even started, it was already over, so he couldn't see anything. But it was different now. The silver tiger was the reference. Silver tiger, you only have this little strength. Did you not eat? You can't even hurt my skin, and you dare to challenge me? Aren't you a bit too arrogant? Do you know how much you are worth? Why don't you go home and practice before coming out? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows and gave a suggestion. Human, you're courting death. You're courting death. The silver tiger was so angry that its lungs were about to explode. It flew into a rage. It was a famous genius of the Silver Tiger clan, and there was nothing it didn't know in the Western cosmos. This damned human actually told it to go home and train, and even said that it only had this little bit of strength. If it couldn't kill this human today, it would rather go home and kill itself with a piece of tofu. It couldn't afford to lose its face. Die! The silver tiger was furious. It was going all out. Its whole body emitted a dazzling silver-white light. A silver-white, sacred tiger vaguely appeared behind it and branded the void. One after another, great arrays appeared and devoured the blood evil chi in the void. Then, they fused together. It was obvious that the silver tiger was completely enraged and wanted to burn its blood and chi to fight Xiaoping. Retreat, retreat quickly. The silver tiger is crazy. The surrounding monsters were shocked. They could feel the terror of this attack. It had completely surpassed the silver tiger's current martial arts cultivation. It had almost reached another level. If they took this attack, even if they didn't die, they would probably be seriously injured. But before the silver tiger could attack, Xiaoping suddenly moved. He rushed forward and punched. His fist was enveloped in white light. Circles after circles of runes appeared on his fist. It was like a star rolling over. It was indestructible and impossible to not break. Dong! With just one strike, the formations on the silver tiger's body were smashed into pieces like glass. Cracking sounds could be heard as the power of the fist seeped into its internal organs. Immediately, it let out a shrill scream. Its whole body smashed into the ground, creating a huge pit. With a cracking sound, dozens of cracks appeared on the ground, extending for dozens of kilometers. Human, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. The silver tiger was furious. A large amount of blood seeped out of the corner of its mouth. Its internal organs were damaged. Even though it had suffered this attack, it still stood up with the tenacious vitality of the Silver Tiger clan. Chapter 1634. Boom! The silver tiger pounced on Xiaoping and attacked with its claws. However, it couldn't break through the energy barrier around Xiaoping. It let out an unwilling roar and was incomparably angry. So little strength? Weak, too weak. Did you not eat? With a bang, Xiaoping punched and sent the silver tiger flying like a ball. It smashed into the ground again. Dozens of its bones were broken. No! The silver tiger struggled to get up, but Xiaoping flew over again. Another fist descended from the sky, bombarding its body, smashing it back into the deep pit. What do you mean no? Answer my question. I'm asking if you haven't eaten. Xiaoping punched again and again. Every punch was like a falling star. It was incomparably heavy. Even with the silver tiger's tyrannical physique, it couldn't bear it and was smashed into a bloody mess. I really ate. The silver tiger shouted. It wanted to leave and get away from this human demon. It was incomparably terrified. How is this a human? He was clearly a demon in human skin. Bullshit, I ate. Why are you so weak? I told you to use more strength. Why is your strength so little? Are you looking down on me? With a bang, Xiaoping slapped again. The silver tiger's teeth were broken and blood was dripping. Help! This human is a madman. Save me. The silver tiger collapsed and shouted for help. It was already beaten to this state and was about to die. Why was he still holding back? This crazy human didn't understand this logic. Save my ass. You are a tiger, and you still want me to save you? Don't you have any shame? Xiao Ping slapped it again and smashed it into the ground like a ball. It was badly mutilated and on the verge of death. The silver tiger let out a blood-curdling scream. It felt its consciousness blurred. Its whole body felt like it was being bitten by millions of ants. Its bones were all broken. It felt like it was suffering the greatest pain in its life. Vaguely, it seemed to see its ancestor waving at it from the other side of a river, asking it to go over. Xiongbo and the other demons were dumbfounded. This was the first time they had seen the ferocious, majestic, and insufferably arrogant silver tiger being beaten like a ball. If they hadn't confirmed it again and again, they would have thought it was an illusion. When did the silver tiger become so weak that it couldn't even beat a weak human? Stop! Human, are you trying to kill it? His 3 silver tiger brethren couldn't bear to watch any longer. They jumped out and stared at Xiao Ping with unfriendly expressions. Terrifying killing intent enveloped him as they tried to save Hu Hai. No matter what, they wouldn't allow their brothers of the same clan to be killed here. This concerned the honor of the Silver Tiger clan. Get lost, don't get in the way. Xiao Ping instantly threw out 3 punches. Martial Path mystical ability, Lightning Fist. Immediately, 3 fists formed from lightning appeared in the air. Countless lightning runes intertwined and condensed together. They shot out like lightning spears. Dong, dong, dong. The 3 silver tigers didn't even have time to react. A lightning shadow flashed in their eyes, and in the next second, their bodies were hit by the fists. Their bodies felt like they had been pierced through by lightning spears. The terrifying power of lightning rampaged inside their bodies, charring all the hair on their bodies and making it stand on end. His fist energy even reached the heavens, producing a terrifying destructive power. He was instantly sent flying, smashing through over a dozen mountains before he finally managed to slow down the impact and come to a stop. But by then, they couldn't stop vomiting blood. Their internal organs were injured, and they couldn't even stand up anymore. Oh my God, he's too strong. 3 punches in an instant, and 3 silver tigers were defeated and sent flying dozens of miles away. Who is the beast here? How can a human be this strong? Without a doubt, he must be one of the human race's geniuses with the strongest body. Otherwise, how could his body's power be on par with us beasts? A human with the strongest body would appear in the Dragonwood's secret realm? What is his purpose? All the monsters were shocked and dumbfounded. 1 against 3, and yet 3 silver tigers were sent flying without any resistance. This was enough to prove how strong this human was. Although they looked down on the weak body of humans, a human with the strongest body was undoubtedly a monster who could stand at the peak of the universe. Who would dare to look down on him? Damn, where's the bronze scorpion? Where did it go? Some of the demons looked around. The previously arrogant bronze scorpion was now hiding somewhere. It was as though it had disappeared without a trace. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't find a trace of it. It wanted to summon the bronze scorpion to fight the human and show off the monsters of the Western universe. Damn, this thing ran away when it saw the situation wasn't good. F***CK. Is this still the famous bronze scorpion? Why is it so cowardly? I didn't plan to fight this human at all. Fight my ass. It's a monster human with the strongest body. Unless it's a monster who inherited a top-tier bloodline. Fighting it is just asking for trouble. To be honest, although the bronze scorpion is a powerful monster in the Western universe, it can't be compared to the monster human in the entire universe. Even so, it can't run without fighting. It's a coward. To think it's a genius of the bronze scorpion race. I was wrong about it. All the monsters looked at it with disdain. A genius of the bronze scorpion race actually ran away when it saw the situation wasn't good. It ran away faster than anyone else. How shameless. In the distance, the escaping bronze scorpion heard the monster's discussion. It sneered. What a bunch of idiots. Fighting a monster human like that, even a few lives wouldn't be enough. To be honest, its strength was about the same as Hu Hai's. Even Hu Hai was beaten to this state. Wouldn't it be looking for trouble if it went up? it would just be beaten up. Moreover, this wasn't running away, but a strategic retreat. This was the wisdom of the bronze scorpion race. It would wait until it was strong in the future before fighting this human again. All right, how do you want to be eaten by me now? Do you want to be roasted, cut into pieces, or steamed? I'm very familiar with these cooking methods. Xiaoping looked down from above and gave his cooking suggestion. Can you not eat me? Hearing this, Hu Hai's face turned green. He weakly gave his suggestion. He was now a fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. He couldn't escape even if he wanted to. He regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have offended this terrifying human. However, he didn't know that this human was so sick. It didn't make sense at all. What do you think? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. Feeling Xiaoping's killing intent, Hu Hai was scared half to death. His huge body seemed to shrink a lot as he said weakly, "Actually, if I say that I'm not from the silver tiger race, but a cat with raw meat and not tasty at all, would you believe me?" Hee hee. Chapter 16:35. Hearing Hu Hai's words, the surrounding demons were speechless. The dignified silver tiger actually went against his conscience and said that he was a cat in order to live. That was really embarrassing. However, Hu Hai was helpless. Compared to his own life, how much was his dignity worth? If he really was roasted by this human here, that would be a huge loss. So what if the silver tiger elder avenged him? He couldn't come back to life, so what was the use? Brother Xia, let him live. Xiongbo stood up at this time. He's a genius of the White Tiger clan, and his father is an elder. If he dies here, it will cause a lot of trouble. Of course, the most important reason is that the Fire Bear clan and the White Tiger clan have always been on good terms. I hope that Brother Xia can forgive him this once. I don't think he'll dare provoke you again. Hearing this, Hu Hai was moved to tears. He didn't think that Xiongbo would stand up for him. All right, since Brother Xiong says so, I have to give you face. Xiaoping actually didn't want to kill Hu Hai. After all, the Silver Tiger clan had quite a bit of power in the Dragonwood Secret Realm. There was even a Tribulation Realm expert here. If he killed Hu Hai, it would definitely provoke the big boss behind him. Of course, he wasn't afraid of fighting to the death, but it would affect his plans. He might even be forced to reveal his identity as Wu Wudi. It wasn't worth it. With Xiongbo giving him a way out, Xiaoping naturally followed suit. Thank you for your magnanimity, Brother Xia. I, Hu Hai, swear that I will never fight against you again. However, can you return my spatial ring to me? Hu Hai stared at Xiaoping. After the beating, just now, his spatial ring had been taken away by this despicable human. That spatial ring contained all the treasures he had on him, and there were even quite a few that he had obtained from the Dragonwood Secret Realm. If he lost this spatial ring, he would definitely suffer heavy losses. Is that so? You still have a spatial ring? Why didn't I notice? Where did you put it? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and stared at Hu Hai with a murderous look. Hu Hai immediately shuddered and began to tremble. He felt that if he still dared to ask for his space ring back, he would probably lose his life. After weighing the pros and cons, he immediately decided to give up on the treasures on him. He said, "I'm sorry, I really did remember incorrectly. I don't have a space ring or anything like that." Many of the demons had strange expressions on their faces. The poor silver tiger was actually forced into such a situation. It clearly had all its treasures stolen, but it didn't even dare to let out a fart. It seems that your memory is not bad, but sometimes it's normal to remember things wrongly. Maybe it'll be fine after you get beaten up. Xiaoping was very satisfied and showed a look of teaching. Hu Hai bared his teeth. If he was beaten up again, he would kick the bucket. Thinking of this, he didn't dare to stay here with this human demon. He immediately said goodbye and returned to his silver tiger camp. Brother Xia, follow me. My Fire Bear Race's camp is over there. You can rest there for a while. Xiongbo led the way, bringing Xiaoping, Tu Linglong, and Qing Wan to the Fire Bear Race's camp. None of the surrounding monsters dared to stop them. The Silver Tiger's fate was a good example. Soon, they arrived at the Fire Bear Race's camp. There were many huge tents set up here. Fire bears the size of small mountains appeared here, looking incomparably violent. Many of the fire bears were even fighting each other in an empty space because they were bored. Xiongbo, you're back. I told you not to throw a tantrum. It's just a breakup. It's nothing. I heard that you know a human genius. Even that brat Hu Hai was taught a lesson by him. Yeah, hurry up and call him out so we can get to know each other. I haven't seen many humans yet. This is a human. He's so small, he doesn't even reach my knees. Such a small human actually defeated the silver tiger? It's really unbelievable. Just how powerful is his body? When Xiong Bo returned to the camp, many fire bears came out. They heard that a human had come to their camp and even defeated the insufferably arrogant Hu Hai. They were all curious and wanted to see for themselves. Suddenly, the surroundings became dark, as if they were surrounded by many mountains. Xiaoping, Tu Linglong, and Qing Wan were all speechless. They felt like they were rare animals being watched. Okay, move to the side. Don't disturb our guests. Xiong Bo's face turned serious, telling the fire bears to scram. Then he brought Xiaoping, Tu Linglong, and Qing Wan to a corner of the camp. There was an empty tent there that could be used as a temporary resting place. Can't we go into the sealed land now? Xiaoping asked. Don't worry. Xiong Bo smiled. You can rest tonight. Tomorrow, I will bring you into the sealed land to hunt dragon trees. After saying this, he left, not disturbing Xiaoping and the others' rest. After seeing Xiong Bo leave, Xiaoping immediately set up a formation in this tent, forming an independent space that isolated the outside world. No one's divine sense could sense the sounds inside the tent. Later, I will leave the tent quietly. You two stay here and help me be an alibi, Xiaoping said to Tu Linglong and Qing Wan. You want to leave the tent? What are you doing? Tu Linglong immediately knew that Xiaoping was up to something. Otherwise, why would he leave so quietly? What's your plan? Qing Wan looked at Xiaoping. She felt that Xiaoping wasn't very interested in hunting dragon trees. Instead, he was plotting something even more terrifying. She wanted to know what Xiaoping was planning. Don't worry, you won't be in any danger this time. In any case, I will first explore the 9 Palaces Heavenly Dipper Grand Formation, and we'll be back soon. Remember, don't leak the news that I left the camp. Xiaoping didn't explain in detail because he wanted to see the place where the corpse beasts were sealed. He wanted to know if there was a way to break the seal and completely enslave them. This matter was too shocking. If Qing Wan and Tu Linglong learned about it, they would probably be exposed. There was no need to let them know. What? Tu Linglong and Qing Wan wanted to ask more, but Xiaoping didn't continue. His figure flickered, and he used the formless mask's power to disappear from the tent. Damn, this human bastard always talks to himself. Tu Linglong clenched her teeth, but there was nothing she could do to Xiaoping. There's nothing we can do. We've already boarded a pirate ship. Chapter 1636. In the Sealed Land. Whoosh! Xiaoping's figure flickered. He avoided the gazes of countless people and sneaked into this place. As soon as he entered, he immediately discovered that the sealed land was completely different from the outside world. This was a completely independent space. Moreover, this space was divided into 3 parts: the outer world, the middle world, and the inner world. Among them, the outer world was the largest. It was boundless and filled with dragon trees. The restriction formation in this outer world was also the weakest. As long as one was careful, they wouldn't touch it. The restriction power in the middle world was more than 10 times stronger. Only those above the transcendence realm could barely enter. As for the inner world, it was where the corpse beasts were sealed. Even Thunder Tribulation realm experts couldn't approach it. Even Xiaoping discovered that the outer world was strange. There was a strange black aura everywhere. It was the strange energy emitted by the corpse beasts. It affected this space and had a corrosive nature. It was because of this strange energy that the dragon trees seemed to have mutated. They were also corroded and turned into corpse beasts with terrifying infectious properties. I didn't expect the dragon trees to be corroded too. Xiaoping's expression was solemn. He finally understood why so many experts from the Western universe couldn't easily kill the dragon trees and obtain the dragonwood source. It really was because this place was full of danger. There were many large trees growing here, and no one knew which dragonwood tree had been corroded and which dragonwood tree hadn't been corroded. If one wasn't careful, the dragon trees that had become corpse beasts could shoot out a branch from the dark and instantly penetrate one's body, allowing the virus to invade. Then, even a Thunder Tribulation Realm expert would be finished. He also understood why Xiongbo didn't let them move at night. It was because it was the most dangerous at night. There was no light, and there was darkness everywhere. The dragon trees that had become corpse beasts could appear and disappear unpredictably. If one was careless, they would probably die. Entering the sealed land at night was no different from courting death. But to Xiaoping, this wasn't a big problem. He used the formless mask to transform himself into a seemingly corroded dragon tree. That way, he would become one of the dragon tree's people and wouldn't suffer any attacks. This feeling. Xiaoping closed his eyes. He could feel the world, tree, sapling trembling in the depths of his mind. It was filled with the power of the world tree, and a green light seeped into every cell in his body. He felt like he was the ancestor of all trees, able to control countless plant life in the universe. Even the dragonwood tree, which had turned into a zombie monster, could not escape his control. Under his perception, the aura of countless dragon trees in this sealed land appeared in his mind, turning into countless light spots. The infected dragon trees were black light spots, and the uninfected ones were white light spots. On the other hand, the black spots occupied 80% of all the spots, and only 20% were not infected. In fact, the number of infected spots was still increasing. A cold light flashed in Xiaoping's eyes as his heart trembled. There was an 80% chance that there were corpse monsters and draconic trees here. How was this a place for treasures? It was clearly a place of death. Fortunately, he had the non-phase mask, otherwise it would be difficult for him to move even an inch in this place. It seems like it can control these dragonwood trees. Xiaoping had a feeling that if he circulated the energy of the world tree, he would be able to control all the dragon trees in this sealed place, even the infected ones. Facing the power of the ancestor of all trees, they simply could not resist. An idea flashed in his mind. If he used the power of the world tree, he might be able to transplant these dragonwood trees into the space of his Mountain River Pearl. Then, wouldn't he be able to obtain a large amount of dragonwood source? But now is not the time to do such things. He should first explore the place where the corpse beasts were sealed. Whoosh! Thinking of this, Xiaoping did not hesitate. He stayed where he was and quickly walked towards the inner world of the sealed land. Soon, he left the outer world and arrived in the middle world. But because he was a dragon tree, the entire restrictive formation did not seem to have any effect on him. This formation had the power to identify outsiders, and it could sense unfamiliar auras. A few hours later, Xiaoping flew all the way and finally reached the inner space. What a powerful restrictive formation! Xiaoping exclaimed. The inner space was not very big, about the size of an ordinary cage. But there were a total of 18,000 layers of rune formations arranged around it. Layer after layer of restrictive formations stacked on top of each other, causing one's scalp to go numb. Most likely, even a Thunder Tribulation Realm expert would be as weak as a baby if they were sealed in such a way, unable to move. Moreover, there was an astonishing restrictive aura in the surroundings, branded in the void. If anyone dared to touch the restrictive formation here, they would definitely suffer a terrifying attack that would destroy everything. At this moment, in the inner space, there was a monster the size of a small mountain that was tied up. There were sealed chains binding its body, making it unable to exert any power. Its entire body was pitch black, and it had thick hair. It had fangs, scarlet eyes, and its body was like a gorilla. Its entire body was filled with explosive muscles, giving off a strange and evil aura. Moreover, Xiaoping could sense that this monster's consciousness was chaotic. The depths of its mind seemed to be filled with endless greed and destruction. There was no way to communicate with it. Once this monster was freed, it would definitely wreak havoc everywhere. But even if he wanted to break this restrictive formation, he could not. After all, this was a restriction set up by a sage. It was not that easy to break it. No, I just don't have a way. I wonder if the system has a way. Xiaoping's heart moved, and he thought of the power of the system. Host, you can purchase a holy level restriction breaking talisman, which can break most holy level formations. It requires 2 billion hatred points. The system also heard Xiaoping's voice and immediately said, 2 billion hatred points. Xiaoping took a deep breath. This was indeed a sky-high price treasure, and it was a one-time use treasure. It was too extravagant, but if he could enslave the corpse beast, a mere 2 billion hatred points would be nothing. Instead, it would be worth it. Thinking of this, he spent 2 billion hatred points to exchange for the holy level restriction breaking talisman. However, he did not immediately start to break the restrictive formation in this place. Because if he broke it now and let the corpse beast run out, with the terrifying power of the corpse beast, he would not be able to deal with it, let alone enslave it. Therefore, he must find a way to consume the corpse beast's vitality and let its strength be in its weakest state, so that it would be convenient for him to enslave the corpse beast. It seems that I must gather most of the great powers of the dragonwood secret realm together and use the power of many great powers to deal with the corpse beast, let both sides consume each other, and then secretly capture the corpse beast. Moreover, I can also take the opportunity to gain the hatred points of many races in the Western universe to make up for this loss. Chapter 16:37. Half an hour later, the 5-colored phoenixes and peacock warriors finally woke up, but they immediately let out miserable screams because their spatial rings and dragonwood source had disappeared. Goddamn thief! How dare you steal the treasures of our peacock race? I will not forgive you. The peacock warriors were incomparably angry, and their hearts were filled with rage. The dragonwood source that they had painstakingly obtained, as well as all the treasures they had on them, had been taken away by this thief. How could they tolerate such a thing? They were completely enraged. But the 5-colored phoenixes let out even more miserable screams, and those who heard them would cry. It was 100 times more miserable than the sound of a pig being slaughtered. When the warriors of the peacock race looked over, they were dumbfounded as well. That was because the warriors of the rainbow phoenix race had all their feathers plucked clean off their bodies. One had to know that the 5-colored phoenixes were one of the nobility of the bird race, and their 5-colored feathers were even more gorgeous than those of the peacock race. This made them incomparably arrogant, high and mighty, and insufferably arrogant. But now, all the 5-colored feathers on their bodies had been plucked, and they looked like drowned chickens. Such a scene was too shocking. What made them even more dumbfounded was that these 5-colored phoenixes had a few words written on them with a brush. Wu-Woody is my father is Wu-Woody, Wu-Woody is my ancestor, and so on. And these words were extremely harsh, and it made the clean-loving 5-colored phoenixes go crazy. Some of them could not bear such a blow, and directly fainted, escaping from reality. Damn, Wu-Woody has appeared again. This bastard is robbing us again. The peacock warriors were shocked and angry. They finally knew who the robber was. It turned out that it was that demonic monk Wu-Woody. Previously, they had suffered from the evil hands of this bastard bald donkey, and now he was robbing them again. He was like a ghost that refused to go away, as if he had his eyes on the peacock race's treasures. Bald donkey Wu-Woody, you're dead, you're dead. I want to kill that bald donkey. I must kill him and tear him apart. Boo-hoo, I don't know how long I've taken care of my beautiful 5-colored feathers, but they've all been plucked off by this damned bald donkey. This enmity is absolutely irreconcilable. We have to kill him. Kill that bald donkey. How dare he ride on our bodies? He's courting death. Humiliation. This is the humiliation of our 5-colored phoenix race. We must mobilize the entire race's strength to capture this bald donkey and tear his corpse into 10,000 pieces. We must tear his corpse into 10,000 pieces. The Rainbow Luan race's warriors were infuriated. When they saw their current miserable state, they simply had murderous intentions. Not only were all of their feathers stripped, there were even those words left on their bodies. This was simply the greatest humiliation. Meanwhile, the peacock race's expressions were strange. This time, their feathers hadn't been harmed. When they saw the rainbow wan's miserable state, they all rejoiced in its misfortune. Even the gloominess of losing their treasures lessened quite a bit. This group of 5-colored phoenixes had been so arrogant. Now, they finally knew how powerful the demonic monk Wu Wudi was. All of the peacock race warriors felt extremely pleased in their hearts. Evil people would be tortured by evil people. They reckoned that after this, the Rainbow Wan would never dare to mock the Peacock clan again. Next, Xiaoping repeatedly committed crimes in the outer space of the sealed land. He used the power of the formless mask to transform into all sorts of objects and hide in the surroundings. He specifically looked for lone or weak Western cosmos geniuses to attack. Taking advantage of this group of people's carelessness, he immediately gave them a sneak attack and plundered all of their treasures. Because of the existence of the true inside of illusions, he could instantly create an illusion barrier with a single thought. Without a sound, this group of Western cosmos elites were all taken down. It could be said that illusions were simply an unsolvable power. It was the highest technique used to plot against people. If one's divine sense wasn't strong enough, they wouldn't be able to withstand it and would instantly be knocked unconscious. There were simply too few people who could withstand Xiaoping's divine sense. At the very least, one had to be a Transcendence Realm expert to be able to do so. However, he definitely wouldn't provoke those above the Transcendence Realm. He would avoid fighting them. Thus, Xiaoping didn't experience any battles. In fact, the duration of the battles was very short, ending in the blink of an eye. This group of Western cosmos warriors couldn't do anything even if they wanted to rescue him. And the storm of this matter quickly spread, affecting many people. Almost every race that entered the Dragonwood Secret Realm fell victim to Xiaoping's evil hands and suffered heavy losses. Come out, bald donkey Wu Wudi. Come out if you have the guts. That's right. What kind of hero is hiding in the dark and launching sneak attacks? You call yourself an elite of the Luo Han? Are you still a Buddhist? Hiding your head and showing your tail, robbing people, committing all sorts of crimes. Why are you chanting sutras and worshiping Buddha? Return our treasures immediately, or we won't let you off. You want to live after offending the major races of our Western cosmos? That's impossible. Come out immediately and kneel down to surrender. Otherwise, your race will definitely be wiped out in the future. *TCH, I'm still a child. How dare you steal all my treasures? Are you still human? Does your conscience hurt? Is there a monk like you? Even demons aren't as despicable as you. Wu Wudi, come out. Come out immediately. Let me beat you to death. All of the victims were furious. They had never experienced something so humiliating in their lives. They hadn't even seen Wu Wudi, and yet they had been beaten up by that damned bald donkey. All their treasures were gone. It was a huge loss. They immediately formed an alliance of victims and formed groups to search for traces of Xiaoping in outer space, hoping to recover their treasures. But no matter how hard they searched, they couldn't find a single trace of Xiaoping. That was because the power of the formless mask was too great. It was silent and invisible. It wasn't something they could find with their power. Even a sage might not be able to do so. Some of the victims who were alone were even attacked by Xiaoping. They were beaten up and robbed of all their treasures. Even their clothes were shredded and they were hung upside down from trees. This kind of lawless behavior made them even more furious. He was looking down on them too much. This won't do. We can't deal with that bald donkey with our strength alone. That bald donkey's ability to conceal himself is too powerful. We have to get the elders here. Only the elders can deal with that damn bald donkey. Right. Immediately inform the family elders. Get them to hurry over and capture that thief. Just you wait, bald donkey Wu Wudi. You can't escape. Even if you run to the ends of the earth, I'll definitely catch you. Chapter 1638. At this moment, outside the sealed grounds, countless geniuses were in an uproar in the Western Universe's camp. *CK. That demonic monk Wu Wudi is out again. Damn it. He still hasn't learned his lesson and dares to come out again. Isn't he afraid of death? How can he learn his lesson? Whoever taught him a lesson can't even find him. That bald donkey is naturally very arrogant. I heard that countless people have fallen victim to him. The crimes he has committed are too many to count. Who knows how many geniuses have fallen victim to him? This time, the Rainbow Phoenix race suffered the worst. All their feathers were plucked clean by him. That's nothing. A few beauties from a sheep race were knocked unconscious by him. Maybe they even fell victim to him. F***. That bald donkey is a beast. Didn't they say that monks don't lust after women? Hee, do you think he's still a monk? He's a demonic monk, a demon. What doesn't he dare to do? F***. Hurry up and tell the beauties of our race to hide. Otherwise, he'll definitely take their virginity. Don't worry. Now that the elders of the major races have received the news, they're rushing over from all over the dragon with Secret Realm. It won't be long before that demonic monk is arrested. Once we catch this guy, I'll definitely let him taste what it means to wish for death. The geniuses discussed and gritted their teeth. They wanted nothing more than to arrest that Wu Woody immediately. Unfortunately, they couldn't find his whereabouts at all. There was nothing they could do. Now, they could only place their hopes on the elders. Only the elders had a chance of finding the demon monk Wu Woody's whereabouts and getting rid of him. Otherwise, this bald monk might really be able to escape without a trace. If that were the case, they would definitely go crazy. Brother Xia. At this time, Xiongbo also heard the news. That bastard Wu Woody has finally appeared again. I didn't expect him to have the guts to come out and commit crimes. How audacious. But luckily, he's very brave. If he just hides like this, we might not even have a chance to take revenge. We can only watch him get away with it. Oh, there's such a thing. Hearing these words, Xia Ping's face was filled with righteous indignation. He shouted, "Where is that guy? I'll immediately go out and beat him up to avenge Brother Xiong." Tu Linglong and Qing Luan looked at Xia Ping with disdain. Who didn't know that Wu Woody was this shameless human in disguise? Wasn't this a thief, crying thief? It was shameless to the extreme. However, I didn't say anything. They were just very confused. Now that Xia Ping had made such a big move, everyone knew about it. What was it for? If Xia Ping said that he didn't have any ulterior motives, they would never believe it. This human was the kind of man who wouldn't get up without benefits. Brother Xia, don't worry. Xiongbo was very touched, but he still waved his hand and said, "That bald donkey is just a small character. Don't be fooled by the ruckus that's going on right now. It's just that we haven't found him yet. Once he's found, he'll definitely be beaten to a pulp by the angry crowd. At that time, Brother Xia won't even need to make a move. He'll be trampled to death by the angry crowd. Even if you want to queue up, you won't have the chance to beat him up." Xia Ping blinked. "In that case, you've already found him?" "Not yet, but it's only a matter of time. Right now, the elders of all the major races of the Western Cosmos are flocking here. They're gathering in the camp and planning to have a meeting. I believe there will be a result soon. No matter how powerful that bald donkey is, he can't be more powerful than our race's elders. It's only a matter of time before he gets caught." Xiongbo chuckled. It was as if he could already see Wu Woody being caught and beaten up. "I see." Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. It seemed like his plan was very successful. The elders of all the major races of the Western Cosmos had been attracted here. It seemed like it was time to start the next step of his plan. "But Brother Xia will be busy capturing Wu Woody for the next few days. I'm afraid we won't have time to accompany you in hunting dragon trees," Xiongbo said apologetically. In the past few days, they had been searching for uninfected dragon trees in the outer space of the sealed land. Infected dragon trees had viruses in their cores, so they couldn't be absorbed at all. However, it was too difficult to find an uninfected dragon tree in such a vast place. Many people couldn't find one even after 2 or 3 months and returned empty-handed. Therefore, they didn't find any dragon trees in the past 3 days. It doesn't matter. It won't be too late to hunt dragon trees after we capture Wu Woody. Xiaoping waved his hand, not caring at all. These days, he had already obtained a large amount of dragonwood origins by robbing the geniuses of the Western Cosmos. There was no need for him to hunt them now. Of course, this matter naturally couldn't be exposed. All right, then I still have things to do. I'll be leaving first. Xiaobo immediately took his leave. He couldn't wait to meet the elders and capture Wu Wudi as soon as possible. Xiaoping, what exactly are you planning? Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to control yourself by creating such a big scene? Green Luan's divine sense transmitted. Of course I'm going to create a big scene. You'll know very soon. That's when the big scene will be. However, you two can enter the space of the Mountain River Pearl first. We'll leave now. Xiaoping waved his hand and stored Tu Linglong and Green Luan into the space of the Mountain River Pearl. When the chaos started, he wouldn't have time to take care of the two of them. It was better to put them away as soon as possible. Several hours later, in a huge camp. At this moment, the elders of the major races of the Western cosmos had gathered in this camp. They were all at least in the Transcendence realm, and there were quite a few in the Thunder Tribulation realm. There were at least 3,000 of them. When these powerhouses gathered together, the aura they emitted was simply earth-shattering. Some juniors couldn't even get close to the core area. They could only stay in the periphery and listen quietly. Among this group of almighty experts, the strongest were none other than Elder Dever, Mammoth Wanshu, Elder Ruth of the Immortal Bird Tribe, and Elder Maples of the Nightmare Snake Tribe. All of them were almighty experts at the peak of the Tribulation Thunder Realm. They were only a step away from the Sage Realm. Heaven-devouring Mammoth Elder Wanshu stood in place like a mountain. His entire body was covered in terrifying mammoth runes. He had the aura to devour heaven and earth. Moreover, this was his shrunken form. If he returned to his original form, his body would be the size of 10 planets. The Phoenix Elder Ruth was also extremely frightening. Her entire body emitted red flames, and it was as if she was a living flame formed by fire runes. The temperature of her body had reached 6,000 degrees Celsius, which wasn't any lower than the temperature of the sun. It was said that this race had the characteristic of immortality. When the phoenix died, it would return to its egg form and then grow again. This cycle would never be extinguished. Nightmare Snake Elder Maples was also extremely terrifying. It was said that she came from a mysterious mystic realm called the Nightmare Realm. She had extremely powerful illusion abilities and could unknowingly drag the enemy into a dream. Often, the enemy would be killed by the Nightmare Snake unknowingly. Chapter 1639. Gathering us here for a mere Gold Core Junior. Isn't this a bit of fuss? Undying Bird, Ruth, was very dissatisfied with this gathering. She thought that he was just a Golden Core Junior. Even if he had done a lot of evil, how bad could he be? It was too much to make so many powerhouses gather here. That's right. I think the culprit this time is the Luohan clansmen. The Luohan should be the ones to step forward and solve this matter, not us. Nightmare Snake Maples pointed the spearhead at the Luohan clansmen. She had a pair of red vertical pupils that emitted a dangerous aura. That's not right. Hearing this, the Luohan Elder Daoshin stood up. From beginning to end, that demon Wu Wudi never said he was from the Luohan clan. He's just bald. Not all bald people in the world are from the Luohan clan. You're being biased. Even if he really is from the Luohan clan, he has already been expelled from the Luohan clan for doing such evil things. He can't be considered one of our clansmen. Even if you want to find someone to blame, you won't be able to find us. He was very dissatisfied. He didn't want the Luohan clan to take the blame for this matter. After all, with so many races in the Western universe angry, no matter how powerful the Luohan clan was, they wouldn't be able to withstand it. Daoshin, you monks don't know much else, but you're very good at shifting the blame. If it wasn't for the Luohan clan, how could such a demon appear? If you don't take the blame, who will? Properly review your education policies. Nightmare Snake Maples sneered, not letting the Luohan clan off. Enough. At that moment, Elder Mammoth Wanshu said, "We're here to deal with that demonic monk Wu Wudi, not to fight amongst ourselves. Whether we need to review the Luohan clan's responsibility or not, we can discuss it after we catch that demonic monk." Hearing this, the surrounding elders didn't say anything, demonstrating Mammoth Wanshu's authority. Even among the many Tribulation Lightning experts, Mammoth Wanshu was a top expert. He was known as the one with the highest chance of becoming a saint. His strength was tyrannical. Even the saints gave him some face, believing that he would be on equal footing with the saints in the future. Elder Xiang, it's not that easy to capture the demonic monk, Wu Wudi. A peacock elder stood up and said, previously, the elders of our peacock clan, elephant clan, and antelope clan all wanted to capture Wu Wudi, but we couldn't find a single trace of him. It was as if he had vanished from the face of the earth. If I'm not wrong, Wu Wudi should be proficient in the art of transformation. He could transform into various objects at will, and he's also good at concealing his tracks and aura. That's why we haven't found anything yet. It voiced its conjecture. In fact, after capturing Xiaoping for such a long time, they had more or less guessed something. Proficient in the art of transformation? It's not that easy to master the art of transformation. Quite a few elders were a bit shocked because mastering the transformation technique required top-notch talent. If one wanted to transform into another object, they needed to know all of the properties of that object like the back of their hands. If he didn't have top-notch talent, he would only end up like a dog instead of a snake and make a fool of himself. He's a demonic monk, after all. Since he dares to provoke so many races of our Western cosmos, it's normal for him to have some ability. But if that's the case, how are we going to capture him? That's right. If the other party is a genius who is proficient in the art of transformation and can turn into rocks, trees, birds, and even gravel, how are we going to find him? It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Many of the elders were in a difficult position. That little thief wasn't a big threat, but he was proficient in the art of transformation and was good at hiding his tracks. They couldn't find any traces of him. If they couldn't find the other party's true body, then there was nothing they could do. Don't worry. Mammoth Many-Void's eyes shone with a bright light. I thought about that a long time ago. I set up a heaven-piercing, earth-piercing grand spell formation to lock down the entire area. It doesn't matter where the brat hides. He won't be able to escape. The all-seeing destruction formation. The hearts of all the elders immediately trembled. Extravagant. This was definitely extravagant. This kind of formation's power was limitless, able to connect the heavens and penetrate the earth, imprint the void, and understand yin and yang. Once it was set up, it could lock down the entire area for 50,000 kilometers. At that point, it wouldn't matter where the brat hid or what he turned into, even if he was a speck of dust. If the brat tried to do anything out of the ordinary, he would be reduced to dust with nowhere to hide. That way, they wouldn't have to worry about the brat escaping. Of course, setting up a spell formation like that required a huge amount of resources. Ordinary, almighty beings wouldn't be able to afford it. However, Mammoth Many-Voids was willing to do so, which was a testament to his determination and wealth. It was a testament to the boldness of a half-step demon sage. So that's how it is. I never would have guessed that Elder Mammoth would have such a plan. That's a relief. Once we set up the spell formation, the little thief will have nowhere to run. It seems Elder Mammoth has a card up his sleeve. In that case, we'll naturally do our best to help. The elders nodded in approval of the plan. Thank you for your help, fellow Taoists. Mammoth Many-Voids nodded, his eyes flashing with cold light. The only reason he was willing to set up the heaven-piercing, earth-piercing grand spell formation was because he wasn't a benevolent old man who was willing to get revenge for a junior. According to the information he'd gathered, the demonic monk Wu Wudi was incredibly strong and had learned a mysterious breathing technique that had something to do with godmamoths. Mammoth Many-Voids couldn't help but pant when he heard the news. If he wasn't mistaken, the reason why humans were stronger than the mammoths was because they had learned the legendary divine mammoth breathing technique, which had been lost for tens of thousands of years. The breathing technique pointed directly to the Great Tao and had once been a top-secret technique of the mammoths. If the heaven-devouring mammoths could get their hands on it, they would advance by leaps and bounds, and their strength would increase several-fold. Mammoth Many-Voids were at the peak of the tribulation lightning level, only half a step away from the demon sage level. If they could get their hands on the divine mammoth breathing technique, they would definitely be able to pry into the sage level. Regardless of what happened, the demonic monk Wu Wudi was definitely in the bag. He had to capture him and interrogate him about the secret technique. Of course, this was a top secret of the mammoths, and it was only natural that no outsider would know about it. Otherwise, with so many almighty experts present, they would definitely want a piece of the pie. However, there were also some elders who were suspicious of Mammoth Minivoid's actions and could tell that something fishy was going on. Strange. Since when did Mammoth Minivoids become so generous and proactive? He's not like that. He won't do anything without benefits. He's definitely up to something. He must have discovered some secrets on Wuwudi. Interesting. Let's keep an eye on him. If he finds any treasures, we'll want a piece of the pie. We can't let him have it all for himself. The undying bird, the nightmare snake, and the other almighty experts were communicating via divine sense. Of course, they didn't make any moves and pretended not to notice anything. Chapter 1640. Several hours later, finally, I can start. Xiaoping once again arrived at the core area of the seal grounds. He stared at the zombie beast trapped in the dimensional cage. Roar. The zombie beast seemed to have sensed the familiar aura from Xiaoping and became agitated again. It let out a roar that caused the surrounding chains to rumble and tremble. A huge amount of black aura was emitted from its body. It rumbled like smoke and corroded the space around it. Let's begin. Xiaoping didn't even look at it. He immediately took out a Saint-class restriction-breaking talisman and activated his powers. In the blink of an eye, the talisman sank into the core of the sealing formation. After doing all that, his body flickered and he left the place. At the same time, he activated the formless mass ability and turned into a grain of sand, hiding in the ground. Boom! The moment the Saint-class restriction-breaking talisman entered the sealing formation, it immediately emitted an endless amount of cold light. The cold light was like a peerless sword chi, piercing through the sky and destroying everything. The originally sturdy sealing formation was now as fragile as tofu. In an instant, it was sliced into countless pieces and completely disintegrated. The cage that bound the zombie beast shattered like glass, and the sealing chains on its body also completely shattered, making a clattering sound. The formation that was tens of thousands of miles in circumference collapsed in an instant. Countless true dragons formed from Yuan Qi howled and fell from the sky as if they had died. The surrounding vital energy surged, the wind blew, and the clouds surged. A terrifying storm swept up, and the earth cracked. Roar. The zombie beast was extremely excited. It let out a deafening roar that seemed to shake the entire dragon with Secret Realm. With its body as the center, a terrifying sound wave was produced. Layer after layer, it raised everything within thousands of miles to the ground. Trees were all turned into dust, and mountains were flattened. After being trapped for tens of thousands of years, the zombie beast finally regained its freedom. Even though it didn't have much intelligence, it didn't mean that it didn't have emotions. It was feeling the joy of freedom. The corroded dragonwood trees and zombie beasts all let out excited roars. Terrifying demonic chi surged out of their bodies as if they were welcoming the birth of their master. Such a shocking turn of events immediately shocked many of the supreme beings in the sealed grounds. Damn it, the formation sealing the corpse beasts is broken. The undying bird's expression changed. As one of the divine beasts of the fire element, it was extremely sensitive to evil auras. Thus, it had sensed the corpse beast the moment it broke the seal. What's going on? This grand spell formation was set up by a saint. Even after hundreds of millions of years, it wouldn't have deteriorated. Why did it suddenly shatter? Elder Mammoth Minivoid's expression was extremely unsightly. He knew how terrifying the corpse beast was. Even a saint would be afraid of it. Even though it had been sealed for tens of millions of years, the corpse beast was still alive and kicking. One could totally imagine how terrifying this monster was. Once this monster broke free, it would definitely cause a great catastrophe. Someone must have broken through the seal. If there's no external help, with just the strength of that corpse beast, it won't be able to escape even after countless years. The nightmare snake said in a low voice. The nightmare snake was extremely familiar with sealing spell formations and knew exactly how terrifying this one was. It was a spell formation created by a saint at full power, and could even seal a saint. Who's so bold as to throw their lives away? Don't they know that this monster is a catastrophe that can't be released? Is that guy crazy? One of the elders shouted in terror. At the same time, he was infuriated by the fact that someone had broken the corpse beast's seal. Demonic monk Wu-Woody, one of the peacock folk elders shouted. A peacock race elder shouted, I was wondering why that bastard would offend so many races of our western cosmos for no reason. That bastard wanted to lure us here, break the seal on the corpse beasts, and bury us here. It's a trap. It's a death trap for almighty experts like us. What? The elders snapped out of their daze and thought back to everything that had happened. All sorts of clues and clues began to appear in their minds, like a huge black net. That was especially true of Mammoth Many Voids. He couldn't help but clench his fists, wondering if the information about the divine mammoth breathing technique had been leaked on purpose. If that was true, then the mastermind behind the scenes was too terrifying. He was an expert at manipulating people's hearts. No way. That bastard actually dared to plot against us. How audacious. If he released that corpse beast, he'll be the enemy of the entire universe. Even a saint will kill him. What a fool. He's crazy. He doesn't know what he's doing. Many of the elders cursed and cursed. They wanted nothing more than to capture Wu-Woody and tear him to pieces. He might not be crazy, one of the elders said. We still don't know who Wu-Woody really is. What if he's one of Titania's subordinates, and he came here on purpose to release the corpse beast? What? Everyone shivered when they heard this. Everyone knew who Titania was. She was a universal fugitive, and not even a saint could kill her. Her name struck terror into the hearts of all who heard it. If Wu-Woody was one of the mad dragonfolk scientist subordinates, then it wasn't impossible for him to come here and release the corpse beast seal. Furthermore, the seal had been set up by a saint. Not even tribulation lightning experts like them could undo it. Even getting close to the seal was an extravagant hope. If Wu-Woody didn't have the backing of a saint, then how could he possibly break the seal? However, the more they thought about it, the more terrified they became. It was almost as if they had fallen into a trap set up by a saint, and if they weren't careful, they would be wiped out. It doesn't matter who he is, Mammoth Many Voids said. Now that the corpse beast has escaped, we have to take care of it. If it really does escape the Dragonwood Pocket Realm, then the Western universe will be finished. We can't allow that to happen, Mammoth Many Voids said. This wasn't the time for the various races of the Western universe to be at loggerheads with each other. If the corpse beast escaped, it could easily kill countless people. This is a serious matter. We need to notify the saints immediately. But the Dragonwood Pocket Realm is sealed by a grand formation, and the saints are all busy. They're either wandering or in seclusion. Even if we wanted to notify them, it would take some time. Don't worry. The corpse beast has only just broken the seal, so it's extremely weak. We should be able to suppress it for now. That's right. Once the saints come and apply the seal, we'll be able to take care of it. That damned Wu-Woody! How dare he do something so heinous? No one will forgive him. Chapter 1641. Ruinable. The corpse beasts launched an all-out assault on the Western universe's various races. The horde of corpses under their control roared as they surged forward like a tidal wave. That was especially true of the corroded dragonwood trees. Their auras combined to form spell formations that transformed into terrifying black dragons that let out heaven-shaking, earth-shattering roars. It's over. The Western universe's chosen paled at the sight of the incoming tide of corpses. There were more than 100 million of them, and their sheer numbers alone were enough to overwhelm them. The most frightening thing about the corpses wasn't their combat prowess, but their ability to infect others. Once they were injured, they would immediately become one of the corpses. That was what terrified them the most. Attack. Activate the all-seeing destruction grand formation. Mammoth Many Voids barked orders to the almighty experts present. Only the almighty experts in the Transcendence realm and above could deal with the horde of corpses. The juniors would only be a hindrance and wouldn't be of much help. Thankfully, They'd set up the spell formation in time to deal with Xiaoping. Otherwise, they didn't know what else they could do to stop the horde of corpses. In the blink of an eye, the grand formation of heaven and earth appeared, covering an area of 50,000 kilometers. It created a spatial cage that stretched from the sky to the ground, filled with countless magical symbols. The 3,000 almighty experts in the Transcendence realm were scattered throughout the area, which served as nodes for the spell formation. They poured their own energy into it to power it. When this great formation was activated, a majestic force came crashing down from the void. It was as if stars were crashing down, causing the surroundings to explode crazily, destroying everything in its path. It seemed to be destroying every inch of the void in this space. Bang, bang, bang. One corpses after another were crushed to dust, unable to hold out for even a second. In just a few breaths of time, more than 10 million corpses had been killed and reduced to ash. Thousands of fissures appeared on the ground, constantly splitting open and turning into abyssal fissures. All of the mountains within a radius of 100,000 kilometers were flattened, turning into a flat plain. Rocks were shattered into dust, causing rumbling sounds to ring out. The power of the spell formation was clear to see. Ha ha! Foolish corpses! How dare they oppose us? We'll definitely win. As long as the elders are here, those zombies are just cannon fodder. No matter how many come, they'll all die. The prodigies of the Western cosmos were extremely excited. As long as the array was activated a few more times and killed a few more times, these zombie monsters would probably be wiped out and would no longer pose much of a threat. Not bad. Xiaoping, who was hiding in the dark, also saw this scene. He touched his chin and was also shocked by the power of this array. It was worthy of being the means of a mighty figure. Even a Thunder Retribution realm mighty figure would be killed by it. However, he was not worried that this formation would be able to kill the zombie beast. If the zombie beast was a monster that could be killed so easily, the sages would have destroyed it long ago instead of sealing it. Roar! Sure enough, when the corpse beast saw this, it became even more enraged. It let out a roar, and like a violent ape, its body began to surge with dark, evil power. In the blink of an eye, it covered the surrounding 50,000 kilometers. Sizzle. The black smoke was terrifyingly corrosive and seemed to have a life of its own. It turned into thousands of black dragons and pounced towards the group of powerful beings. Not good. Hide. Mammoth mini-voids and the other powerful beings' faces flickered as they sensed that the black smoke was far from ordinary. It contained evil, darkness, corrosion, curses, nothingness, infection, and more. It was not something that ordinary methods could defend against. Their bodies flickered as they dodged to the side. However, some of the powerful beings were caught off guard and were too close to the zombie beast. All they could do was unleash defensive divine abilities in an attempt to keep the black smoke at bay. Unfortunately, their efforts were futile. Not even the spell formation could stop the black smoke, and it pierced through their shields and into their bodies. One powerful being after another let out blood-curdling screams, their faces twisted with rage. In just a few breaths of time, their blood vessels had been corroded and they had been transformed into zombie monsters. This was the zombie beast's unique infection ability, a bloodline divine ability. If the zombie beast went all out, it could turn its enemies into its dependents. Of course, doing this required a huge amount of the zombie beast's essence energy. It was a move that killed 1,000 enemies, but harmed 800 of its own. However, after using this move, the zombie beast's power had been greatly depleted. It was now gasping for breath, and its devilish might was no longer as overwhelming as it had been before. However, it was worth it. Close to a third of the powerful beings had been infected and had been transformed into zombie monsters. They had lost all sense of reason and power. Bam, bam, bam. Without the powerful beings to maintain the spell formation, the heaven-piercing, earth-piercing grand formation collapsed from the inside, and the surrounding spell formation space shattered like glass. It's over. A third of the powerful beings have been turned into zombie monsters. Damnation! How are we supposed to fight this? It's been sealed for so many years. How can this zombie beast still be so terrifying? It's not scary. Why would the sages be so afraid of it? Why would they seal it here? Woody, that despicable bastard. It's all because of that shameless bastard. We can't spare him. We can't spare that demonic monk. We have to find him and tear him to pieces. Don't waste your breath here. Even if we want to kill this demonic monk now, there's nothing we can do. Right now, we can only do our best to stall this corpse beast until the sage arrives. Otherwise, if it manages to escape from the dragon with secret realm, the entire Western cosmos will be doomed. The various supreme beings gnash their teeth, hating Xia Ping to the extreme. If it wasn't for this brat breaking the seal, how could such a thing have happened, causing them to suffer heavy losses and countless casualties? Unfortunately, now wasn't the time to go after Xia Ping. They had to deal with the zombie beast first. There's no other way. I can't hold back. I have to use my sage item. Mammoth Mini-Void's eyes flashed with cold light as he made up his mind. He took out a giant black hammer that was covered in dense black runes. These black runes were like black elephants that emitted a terrifying aura. It was as if the sky was being torn apart. No way. Are you kidding me? Don't tell me that's the Heaven Splitter Hammer. The almighty being's eyelids twitched. They were all experienced and knowledgeable people, so it didn't take long for them to recognize it as the signature magical treasure of the heaven-devouring mammoths, the Heaven Splitter Hammer. Rumor had it that the weapon contained the might of a sage, and that a single swing of the hammer could shatter a planet. Its attack power was terrifying beyond belief. Chapter 1642. Well done, Mammoth Many Voids. I never would have guessed that you'd even bring out the Sky Splitter Hammer, a holy item of the heaven-devouring mammoths. What a grand display. Looks like I can't hold back any longer. Undying Phoenix frowned. She waved her hand, and a crimson flag appeared in her hand. It pulsed with the power of fire, and the vague image of a vermilion bird could be seen on the flag. A holy item, the vermilion bird banner. Mammoth Many Void said, visibly shocked. The vermilion bird banner was a holy item of the Undying Phoenix tribe. When it was used, it possessed the might of a vermilion bird, capable of scorching the 5 regions with raging flames. It was a terrifying magical item that was no weaker than the Sky Splitter Hammer. The Nightmare Snake's expression was grave, and it could sense that the two of them posed a huge threat. Holy items were simply too powerful, and the difference in battle prowess was like the difference between heaven and earth. If she fought them, she wouldn't be able to hold out for very long. Thankfully, the enemy was the corpse beast, otherwise she would have to worry about her own safety. Enough chit-chat, Undying Phoenix said, her expression grave. Let's deal with the corpse beast first. We can't let it get any stronger, or we'll all die. You're right. Let's join forces. Mammoth Many Voids could sense how powerful the corpse beast was, and knew that it had limitless potential. Without any hesitation, he swung the Sky Splitter Hammer and smashed it down toward the corpse beast. Instantly, the air around him was expelled, forming a vacuum in a 5,000-kilometer radius around him. The terrifying power of the attack was sucked in. Boom! It was a single attack, but the ground cracked and caved in for thousands of meters. The surrounding corpse beasts were pulverized into dust, as if everything had been turned into nothingness. The attack seemed capable of piercing through the earth itself. Die! Undying Phoenix said, waving the vermilion bird banner. Wind and cloud stir, cosmos anchor, yin-yang twist, and a terrifying heaven and earth flame formation sprang into being. At this moment, huge scarlet pillars of fire rose from all 4 directions. They were tens of thousands of feet tall. These 4 pillars of fire resonated with each other, forming a terrifying fiery domain. Within this fiery domain, terrifying flames rose in all directions, condensing into small vermilion birds. The corpse monsters were all incinerated by the vermilion bird's flames, and within a few breaths of time, they were reduced to ashes, no longer existing. Even the Western Universe's almighties who had turned into zombies couldn't withstand the power of the flames and were burned to death. Is this the might of a sacred artifact? It is indeed extraordinary. Xiaoping, who was far away, was also secretly shocked. This was the first time he had seen the power of a complete saint artifact. It was not something that ordinary people could withstand. If the saint artifact unleashed its might, even a planet would be completely destroyed. Xiaoping was not the only one who was shocked. The surrounding geniuses from the Western cosmos were also shocked. At the same time, they were also incomparably excited. With a sacred artifact in hand, dealing with these zombie monsters would likely not be an issue. Roar! Howling, the corpse beast transformed into a 9,000-meter-long black ape, which lunged toward the undying bird and mammoth mini-voids with incredible speed. It instinctively told itself that as long as these two enemies were taken care of, the remaining enemies were nothing to be afraid of. Die, you freak! Mammoth mini-void shouted. Hefting his heaven-splitter hammer, he swung it toward the corpse beast with enough power to shatter stars. Boom! The corpse beast didn't even try to dodge. Instead, it took the attack head-on and was sent flying several thousand meters into the ground. Massive rumbling sounds could be heard as the ground caved in. However, a moment later, the corpse beast leaped out of the ground, looking as lively as a dragon or a tiger. How is this possible? It didn't do anything. Mammoth mini-voids almost couldn't believe his eyes. The heaven-splitter hammer he wielded contained the power of an early sage-class expert. Even the grand protective spell formation of a small sect would be destroyed by a single swing of his hammer. But now, the corpse beast wasn't dead. It was simply inconceivable. Allow me, Undying Bird said, waving her vermilion bird banner. Crimson flames transformed into the image of a vermilion bird, which let out a piercing cry as it pounced on the corpse beast. This was vermilion bird divine flame, something that could burn anything. Not even Samadhi true fire could compare to it. Most objects in the world would be incinerated into ash by this type of flame. Roar! The corpse beast shrieked. Clearly, the vermilion bird divine flame was working against it. Its entire body was engulfed in flames, burning away every single cell in its body. It's working. It's about to be burned to death. Many of the chosen from the Western cosmos were overjoyed to see the corpse beast's body slowly evaporate as it shrank. At the same time, black smoke began to rise from its body. As the vermilion bird divine flame shrank, the corpse beast vanished. However, before they could rejoice for long, the black smoke coalesced back into the corpse beast, this one even more powerful than before. Damn it! That monster really is indestructible. Not even the vermilion bird divine flame can kill it. The undying bird had a very serious expression on her face. The vermilion bird divine flame was one of the most powerful flames in the world and possessed terrifying destructive power. Even sages feared it and wouldn't dare to face it head-on. But now it couldn't kill this corpse beast. It was too terrifying. I refuse to believe that this monster can't be killed. Furious, Mammoth Mini-Void swung his heaven-splitter hammer at the corpse beast. Die! Undying Bird said, gritting her teeth. Drawing on all the power she could muster, she unleashed the Vermilion Bird banner, causing the Vermilion Bird divine flame to erupt with even more power. Let's kill the corpse beast, the Nightmare Snake said, gritting her teeth. The surrounding almighty experts joined forces to deal a fatal blow to the corpse beast. Although they weren't as strong as Mammoth Mini-Voids and Undying Bird, with their sage items, they were still no match for the corpse beast. Even so, the combined power of so many almighty experts was nothing to scoff at. In the blink of an eye, terrifying beams of light shot out in all directions as they unleashed their ultimate killing techniques, each one powerful enough to rend a planet to pieces. Tens of thousands of beams of light shot toward the corpse beast, as if they were trying to destroy the world. The corpse beast wasn't willing to be outdone. Relying on its undying body, it fought back fearlessly. Xiaoping had been watching everything unfold from the shadows, not wanting to miss a single opportunity. Not bad, he said, narrowing his eyes in satisfaction. Keep fighting. Whittle away at the corpse beast's energy. Xiaoping's eyes narrowed in satisfaction. Although the corpse beast had an undying body, it had been sealed for so long that it was extremely weak. Now that it was being attacked by a group of almighty experts, it was even weaker. It wouldn't be long before the corpse beast reached its weakest point, and Yang Qi would be able to take advantage of the situation. The almighty experts were in the same boat. Whittling away at the corpse beast's energy wasn't going to be an easy task. Even if Undying Bird and Mammoth Many Voids had sage items, they wouldn't be able to use them for very long. In fact, it wouldn't be long before they ran out of energy. "It's about time," Mammoth Many Voids said. Chapter 1643. Rumble. Mammoth Many Voids and the others slammed into the corpse beast again, and both sides were sent flying backward, coughing up blood. The almighty experts of the Western universe were all seriously injured and had lost 99% of their magic. Originally, there had been 3,000 almighty experts, but now only 800 remained. In fact, the ones who were left were basically the remnants of the defeated army, their bodies heavily injured. Even Mammoth Many Voids, Ruth, and the other almighty experts in the tribulation level were weak. After all, sage items were incredibly powerful, but they also consumed a shocking amount of magic. After using them dozens, if not hundreds, of times, they couldn't keep up. The corpse beast wasn't having a good time either. Although it had an undying body, it had consumed more than half of its power and was growing weaker and weaker. Its strength had been declining from the Thunder Retribution realm to the Golden Core realm. The dark, evil energy on its body had weakened significantly, and it was panting heavily. "Ha ha! Damn corpse beast! Even if it's strong, we still manage to suppress it. It's so weak right now that it's only as strong as the Gold Core level. There's no way it can fight us. We might not be able to kill it, but we can seal it up and wait for the sages to come. We've won this war." The almighty experts were all very excited. Although the battle had been fierce, and there had been countless casualties, they had at least managed to stop the universal calamity. Of course, they were also filled with grief and indignation. So many almighty experts were powerful enough to dominate the universe, and yet they had been forced into such dire straits by a single monster. "Let's do it. Seal the corpse beast." Mammoth Many Voids' eyes flickered with cold light as he prepared to draw on the last bit of magical power he had left to seal the corpse beast and prevent it from causing any future problems. "That's enough," he said, his eyes flickering with cold light. "The heavens are merciful, so stop killing." It was at this point that a voice could be heard, like the sound of morning bells and evening drums. A figure appeared in front of everyone, stopping Mammoth Many Voids and the other almighty experts from attacking. It was none other than Xiaoping. "Kill your head. Where did this dog monk come from? Do you know what kind of monster this is? You still want us to stop? Is there something wrong with your Asterisk King brain?" A powerhouse cursed. He wanted nothing more than to kill this guy. In order to seal this zombie beast, they had fought with their lives on the line, suffered countless casualties, and paid a heavy price. They were about to succeed, but this dog monk actually jumped out and told them to stop. How was that possible? If this zombie beast were to escape and wreak havoc in the Western universe, who would bear the responsibility and consequences? Why bother? Killing won't solve any problems. Why don't you give me some face and stop for now? Xiaoping bowed with his hands clasped in front of him and smiled. He looked like an accomplished monk, hoping that everyone would give him face. "Who are you? We have to give you face. Get lost immediately. Don't make us angry. Do you want to die? Where did this idiot come from? Don't you know what's going on? Luohan, is this guy from Buddhism? Why don't you take him away for treatment? What are you doing here?" The almighty experts were speechless. Not a single one of them knew who this guy was. Who knew where this monk had popped out of nowhere? And yet he wanted them to give him face. Didn't he have any self-awareness? "Hold on. If I'm not mistaken, your name is Wu Wudi." Mammoth Many Void's eyes narrowed as he stared at Xiaoping. What? Quite a few almighty experts were shocked to hear this. The name Wu Wudi was like a thunderclap piercing their ears. After all, wasn't this bastard Wu Wudi responsible for all of this trouble? If it weren't for him, how could so many almighty experts have been killed? I never would have guessed that Elder Mammoth doesn't know this humble monk's name. It's an honor, Xiaoping said with a beaming smile, as if he were overwhelmed by the unexpected favor. Of course, by saying this, he was admitting that he was Wu-Wudi. So it really is that bastard. After doing something like this, he still dares to show himself? What an audacious knave. Now that you've appeared in front of us, do you think you have something to fear? I couldn't find you when you were hiding earlier, but now you've come out like an idiot? You're courting death. Attack. Kill this brat. Tear him to pieces. Avenge our fallen comrades. The almighty experts were enraged when they realized Xiaoping's identity. Some of the more hot-tempered ones couldn't hold back any longer and immediately attacked Xiaoping. Dragon-trapping pillar. Xiaoping waved his hand and took out his peerless spirit artifact, the dragon-trapping pillar. As soon as this magic treasure appeared, with the dragon-trapping pillar as the center, the area within a radius of 100,000 li was surrounded by a huge golden energy barrier, forming an absolute domain. This was the equalization domain. What? The almighty experts were shocked to find that their cultivation bases were dropping at a rate visible to the naked eye. All of them were now at the peak of the Golden Core realm. Even the Tribulation Lightning experts were greatly affected. They felt their magic power being suppressed, and the space around them had turned into a swamp. Every step they took required a lot of energy. Damn it, what did you do to us? A Tiger Dharma characteristic mighty figure was alarmed and furious. He could not understand why his realm had dropped to the Golden Core realm. It was as if his dharmic powers had been sealed, and he could only use the power of the Golden Core realm. Don't move. You'll die. Xiaoping advised out of goodwill. Die my guess. This must be some kind of illusion. Do you think you can scare us? I've eaten more than you've walked. Immediately, a few hot-tempered almighty experts were enraged. They thought that this was some kind of illusion, and they wanted to use force to destroy the illusion completely. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, 5 Transcendence Realm powerhouses flew out. They used their ultimate techniques and channeled their dharmic powers. Terrifying killing moves blasted out like streams of light. Xiaoping didn't even look at them. He punched through the void, causing the void to tremble. There seemed to be an elephant roaring in the depths of hell, producing terrifying power. Dong! The 5 Dharma Plane experts didn't even get close to Xiaoping. They were only 5 kilometers away when their bodies exploded, turning into meat paste. They didn't even have time to scream. They died just like that. For Xiaoping, killing a Golden Core Enlightened Master was no different from killing a few chickens. This, Mammoth Many Voids, and the others narrowed their eyes. They could clearly sense that the 5 Dharma Plane experts had died. Their nascent spirits had been destroyed. They couldn't be more dead. Chapter 1644. This isn't an illusion. The nightmare snake Maples shook her head and said. Mammoth Many Voids and the others had very serious expressions on their faces. If even Master of Illusion Maples had said such a thing, then it meant that it wasn't an illusion, but rather the truth. 5 Almighty Transcendence experts had really been killed by a late Golden Core Stage Junior. They were all shocked. No matter how weak the 5 Transcendence experts were, their strength wasn't something Golden Core Enlightened Masters could compare to. They could kill countless Golden Core Enlightened Masters with a single breath. But now, Transcendence experts have been killed. This was simply unimaginable. It's not that the 5 were too weak, but that treasure's power. It seems to have the power of a domain that can lower our cultivation to the same level as the opponent. Phoenix Ruth was very knowledgeable. Having lived for hundreds of thousands of years, she could immediately tell that the dragon-trapping pillar possessed divine abilities. Impossible. A treasure with a domain has to be at least a sane artifact. Many of the experts were shocked. No, it's not a sane artifact yet. If it were, it could even affect us, Tribulation Lightnings. But it's not far from a sane artifact. It should be a peerless spirit artifact, half a step away from being a sane artifact. Undying Bird Lucy said in a deep voice. She stared at Xiaoping with fear in her heart. Even though he was only a perfected one at the Golden Core realm, his mysterious identity and endless means and Dharma treasures made her fear of Wu-Wudi rise to an unprecedented level. He was even more dangerous than ordinary thunder tribulation eminences. Not to mention, she had never been so weak before. Wu-Woody, what are you trying to do? Mammoth Mini Voids stared at Xia Ping, wanting to know his goal. The experts calmed down. Since they couldn't kill this enemy immediately, they could only negotiate with him in hopes of understanding his goal. They also hoped to buy time and recover some of their magic power. That way they could kill Wu-Woody. If they could delay until the sages arrived, the kid would have nowhere to run. Secret, Xia Ping said indifferently. I'll warn you again. If any of you dare to move, you'll die. The moment these words were spoken, many mighty figures were instantly enraged. A mere perfected person in the Golden Core realm actually dared to say such words to them. He was truly arrogant and despotic to the extreme. He did not know his own capabilities. However, after seeing the deaths of the few Dharma characteristic realm experts and their unprecedented state of weakness, they were powerless even if they wanted to retaliate. All of them stood where they were, fearless, afraid that the other party would really make a move and kill them. Even Mammoth Many Voids and the Undying Bird were rooted to the spot, unmoving. Clearly, they were afraid of Xia Ping and had no idea what he was up to. To be honest, Xia Ping's move had indeed frightened them. When faced with an enemy of unknown identity and strength, they preferred to deal with the ever-changing situation by remaining unchanged. Seeing that the experts were frightened, Xia Ping smiled. His figure flickered, and he appeared in front of the weakened corpse beast. Roar! The zombie beast let out a low roar, but it could sense the familiar Taotai aura on Xia Ping's body, as if they were of the same bloodline, and there was a natural sense of familiarity. Furthermore, it could tell that Yongkai was the good person who had freed it from a seal. Given its low intelligence, it was possible that Yongkai had no ill intentions toward it. Therefore, when it sensed Xia Ping approaching, it didn't do anything drastic. It simply stared at Xia Ping, curious as to what he was planning. How is this possible? The corpse beast didn't kill him. However, the corpse beast's indifferent reaction was shocking to Mammoth Many Voids and the other almighty experts. They knew how terrifying corpse beasts were. They had no intelligence and were the embodiment of slaughter and destruction. Any living thing that got close to them would either be eaten or infected, turning into their dependents. But what was going on here? Why hadn't the corpse beast eaten him? In fact, he seemed very close to it. It was completely unimaginable. Mammoth Many Voids and the other almighty experts realized that the situation was far more serious than they had imagined. They immediately raised the level of danger that Xia Ping posed to them, and realized that the kid's identity was even more mysterious than before. Become my pet. Xia Ping reached out and tapped the corpse beast's forehead with a finger. Immediately, he unleashed the soul imprint, a soul imprint that looked like a huge golden seal engraved with countless mysterious soul runes. It emitted a gentle golden light that warmed people's hearts like the sun. Whoosh! Before the corpse beast could even react, the soul sealing mark sank into its soul. Roar! The corpse beast was both shocked and enraged. It instinctively sensed that if the soul sealing mark sank into its soul, its life would be in Yongkai's hands. Unfortunately, it was too weak. After the battle it had just fought, its soul was as fragile as a candle, on the verge of going out at any moment. Therefore, it was impossible for it to resist the power of the soul sealing mark. Rumble. In the next second, the soul imprint completely fused into the corpse beast's soul, and the soul imprint immediately turned into a spirit tree. Countless roots and branches grew out, taking root in the depths of the corpse beast's soul, controlling everything. It's done. Xia Ping smiled faintly. He could sense that the soul sealing mark had already merged into the corpse beast's soul, and that he could control its life or death with a single thought. The berserk, greedy, murderous, and other crazy emotions of the zombie beast seemed to have been completely swallowed by the tree of souls created by the soul seal. Moments later, the corpse beast's body underwent heaven-shaking, earth-toppling transformations. Black mist seethed as it shrank down, transforming into a black egg roughly the size of an ostrich egg, which hovered there in midair, radiating black light. Hold on a second. What did you do to the corpse beast? Mammoth Many-Voids and the other almighty experts were completely flabbergasted. They had never even heard of a corpse beast transforming into an egg before. It was completely unimaginable that someone could actually subjugate a corpse beast and turn it into an egg. They were all shocked and immediately thought of this point. If there was someone who could control the corpse beasts, then how terrifying the destruction would be, and to what extent would the situation develop? Ladies and gentlemen, my business here is finished. I hope we'll meet again if fate wills it. Xiaoping made a grabbing motion with his hand and put away the giant black egg. At the same time, he took out the dragonwood talisman and circulated his arcane energy. Immediately, his body was surrounded by a bright light, and he was teleported out of the dragonwood secret realm. Hold on a second. Stay here. Chapter 1645. Dragonwood Planet. Rumble. 3 terrifying auras descended upon the planet, as if they were gods. They seemed to have formed an absolute domain around them, preventing any power from entering their vicinity. Even a wisp of their auras could crush a planet. These were 3 sages. They were Archangel Raphael of the Angel Folk, Venerable Stainless, the Golden Arhat of Buddhism, and the demonic sage Bifong. Sages, Undying Bird, Mammoth Many-Voids, and the other almighty experts emerged from the Dragonwood Pocket Realm and approached the 3 sages, their attitudes extremely respectful. What's going on? Didn't they say the seal on the corpse beast was lifted? Why can't I sense its aura? Did you seal it away? Archangel Raphael asked. Venerable Stainless and the Bifong looked down at the corpse beast, confused as well. After all, the only reason they'd come out of seclusion was to seal the corpse beast. But now, not even its aura could be sensed. It was very strange. Sages, it's like this. The corpse beast has already been stolen. Mammoth Many-Voids told them everything he knew. There's actually someone who stole the zombie beast and even enslaved it. How is that possible? The Bifong sage was shocked. They tried to control the corpse beast, but they'd realized it was impossible. Even the dragonfolk scientist Titania couldn't do it, so there was nothing they could do. But now a mysterious figure had managed to do it. Even the sages were shocked. We saw it with our own eyes, and we're not exaggerating. Mammoth Many-Voids and the other almighty experts swore to the heavens that they weren't lying. It seems the universe is vast and full of wonders. It's not surprising that someone has a way to control the corpse beast, Venerable Stainless said coolly. His voice contained a hint of zen, as if listening to him for a long time would make one feel like they were about to convert to the Buddhist path. It wasn't intentional, but rather unintentional power that could change a living being's consciousness. The almighty experts were shocked and quickly circulated their magic to seal off their minds. If they didn't, they'd soon become puppets of the Buddhist path, forever converted. I hope the sages can capture that little thief, Wu Woody, Mammoth Many-Voids said. He just escaped Dragonwood. There's still hope of capturing him. Okay, I'll give it a try. Upon hearing this, Venerable Unsullied nodded. His body emitted boundless golden light that pierced through the void. Vaguely, Sanskrit sounds rang out from the depths of the void, resonating with the universe. With his body as the center, everything within a radius of hundreds of thousands of light years was within his range of influence. It was as if every inch of the void was producing strange fluctuations. This won't do. That person has already disappeared. He ran extremely quickly and left this star domain. Venerable Stainless opened his eyes, revealing a glimmer of insight as he said, "He has a supreme treasure on him. His speed is extremely fast, and we can't even catch a trace of him." Yeah, me too. I can't figure out his background or any clues. He has a mysterious power protecting him. If he doesn't have a supreme treasure to protect him, then he must have a powerful figure protecting him. Archangel Raphael also spoke. He had tried to divine Xiaoping's whereabouts, but he couldn't find anything. It was as if the place he came to was isolated, and there was nothing in the distance. What? Mammoth Many-Voids and the other almighty figures were incomparably shocked. Even a saint couldn't find Wu Woody's whereabouts. They couldn't even find a trace of him. This was a little too terrifying. However, they couldn't possibly know that Xia Ping had a Saint-grade flying ship on him. As soon as he left Dragonwood Star, he immediately broke through space and fled, not giving them a chance to find him. As such, it was impossible for them to catch Xia Ping. Even you two can't find a trace of him? It seems that he must have a saint supporting him. Perhaps it's Yao Sage Titania of the dragon race. The Yao Sage by Fong radiated a terrifying aura of violence. If it's Titania's doing, then it wouldn't be surprising at all. After so many years of research, she might really have found a way to control the corpse beasts. Venerable Unsullied nodded. He felt that this was the most likely possibility. If it was Titania's plan, then taming the corpse beasts wouldn't be a problem. After all, the corpse beasts were created by Titania. It was only natural that she could tame and enslave them. If that Wu Wudi is one of Titania's subordinates, then we can't let him go. Otherwise, he'll become a huge threat to us. Archangel Raphael's eyes shone with a white light. Furthermore, he's enslaved the corpse beasts. If he's given more time to grow, who knows how terrifying the corpse beasts will become. It'll be a catastrophe for the universe. Even saints were afraid of the undying and indestructible corpse beasts. This was because the power of the corpse beasts was too terrifying. From a certain perspective, the corpse beasts were many times more terrifying than those abyssal monsters. At the very least, abyssal monsters weren't contagious. They couldn't forcibly turn all living beings in the universe into their dependents. He felt a deep desire to kill Wu Wudi. Mammoth Many Voids immediately notify the various races of the Western universe. The Yao Sage by Fong said coldly. Immediately issue a warrant for Wu Wudi, dead or alive. His bounty is 10 billion cosmic dollars. If you provide any useful information, you'll be rewarded with 100 million cosmic dollars. Archangel Raphael and Venerable Unsullied both nodded. They had to do their best to make sure that Wu Wudi had no place to hide in the universe. He was a huge threat, and they couldn't let him grow any further. 10 billion cosmic dollars. Hearing this, Mammoth Many Voids and the other powerhouses were speechless. This was a terrifying bounty. He was just a golden core perfected one, yet his bounty was 10 billion cosmic dollars. Such a bounty was one of the highest, even among the Western universe's most wanted criminals. However, these criminals were basically all Tribulation Thunder powerhouses. They'd slaughtered the living beings of dozens of planets and committed heinous crimes. That was why there was such a bounty. But now, the bounty had already reached 10 billion cosmic dollars. This was too ridiculous. However, they also understood why there was such a bounty. The corpse beasts were simply too terrifying. When they grew up, they could destroy the world. A mere 10 billion cosmic dollars was still underestimating the threat. However, the matter of the corpse beasts escaping was top secret. They couldn't let ordinary people know, or it would cause great panic. Yes, Mammoth Many Voids and the other powerhouses immediately accepted the order. They quickly spread the news so that all the major races of the Western universe knew about it. They helped to issue a warrant for the most vicious criminal in history, Wu Wudi. Chapter 1646. Under the full push of the various races of the Western universe, through the Universe Virtual Network, the news of the wanted criminal Wu Wudi spread throughout the Western universe in just a day. It was posted to every user with a virtual network device in the form of a pop-up window, forcing them to know about the news. Even the television stations of every habitable planet in the Western universe took turns to broadcast the news. The host even spent 30 minutes spreading the news, telling the public to be wary of the most wanted criminal in history, Wu Wudi, and to inform the police immediately if they encountered him. The police hotline number was XXXXX. Many similar news headlines appeared on the internet. Alert! The most wanted criminal in history has appeared. 10 billion universe dollars bounty, a jaw-dropping amount. One can become a billionaire by catching this criminal. The fastest way to get rich. The most wanted criminal, Wu Wudi. What kind of heinous crime has he committed? Sensational news headlines appeared one after another, and countless people spread the news. Suddenly, the geniuses of the major races of the Western universe were in an uproar. This is ridiculous. A golden core perfected one has a bounty of 10 billion universe dollars. What did Wu Woody do? Some people were dumbfounded when they saw the news. They did not understand what kind of person Wu Woody was. I heard that he once appeared in the Dragonwood secret realm and killed countless geniuses. As a result, many elders were enraged, and they swore to capture Wu Woody. No, I heard that he stole a treasure that even sages coveted. That's why all the major races of the Western universe joined forces to capture him. Wrong. You're all wrong. I don't know where you got this despicable news from. I heard that Wu Woody is a rapist who has taken the virginity of countless beauties. Even the princesses of the antelope race, elephant race, vermilion bird race, white tiger race, and other races have been violated by him. That's why all the races are enraged. You must be joking. Where did this rumor come from? Is it reliable or not? Of course it's reliable. Because it's so embarrassing, they're too embarrassed to say it. Otherwise, they'll lose all face. I heard that a few princesses are pregnant. F***CK, that beast. Looks like Wu Woody isn't just a vicious criminal. He's also a shameless rapist. Everyone has the right to punish him. Everyone discussed this, and many rumors appeared. They speculated about the crimes that Wu Woody, who was wanted, had committed. Because the Almighties did not announce the reason for Wu Woody's arrest warrant, there were also many ridiculous rumors. But that was what they were happy to see. They wanted to attract everyone's attention and motivate them to capture Wu Woody, making him the enemy of the entire nation. Once they revealed any clues, they would be discovered immediately and arrested in an instant. But this bounty is too frightening. Even a Thunder Tribulation Realm expert wouldn't be worth this much. If I can capture Wu Woody, I'll immediately become a billionaire. Someone said excitedly, imagining that they had already captured Wu Woody. Isn't that right? That Wu Woody is at most in the Golden Core realm. Although his strength is not bad, there are many people who surpass him. If we are careful, we can still capture him. Someone thought about the feasibility of this matter. That's wishful thinking. Who knows how many mercenaries and factions want to capture Wu Woody now? How can it be your turn? That's right. Even for some of the major factions, 10 billion universe dollars is a shocking amount. Once we get it, we won't have to worry about cultivation resources for many years. Capturing Wu Woody is equivalent to getting rich overnight. It's better than winning the lottery. Countless people were excited. They rubbed their palms together, hoping that they would have the chance to meet Wu Woody and personally capture him. Then, the 10 billion universe dollars would belong to them. However, some people were very cautious. After all, this bounty was not set casually. Since the Almighties dared to set such a price, it meant that the person was dangerous enough to reach 10 billion universe dollars. If they acted rashly, they would definitely be destroyed. The people from the Eastern Universe and the Southern Universe also learned of this news. They were all shocked because the name Wu Woody was too familiar to them. It was like thunder piercing through their ears. F***CK, that Wu Woody has brought disaster to the Western Universe again. His business scope is very wide. He also offended many Almighties and has a bounty of 10 billion. What did he do? However, that Wu Woody seems to be different from the Wu Woody that appeared in our Southern Universe and Northern Universe. That guy is a bald donkey. That's right. Maybe it's just the same name and not the same person. There are many people with the same name in the universe. I dare say that it must be the same person. There can't be a second person in the universe who is so suicidal. That's right. My sixth sense tells me that too. After all, one's appearance can be completely changed. If that Wu Woody is proficient in transformation techniques, it wouldn't be surprising if he turned himself into a bald donkey. Even if you say so much, it's just speculation. There's no real evidence. It'd be great if someone could catch that kid. Then, we'd know his identity. There are many people who want to capture him. The Eastern Universe, the Southern Universe, and now the Western Universe. F***CK. He's only missing the Northern Universe. He's wanted in the entire universe. According to that bastard's character, it's only a matter of time. Countless people from the Eastern and Southern Universe were discussing this. They did not expect that Wu Woody's name would appear in their field of vision again in such a short period of time. Furthermore, he had caused trouble for the Western universe. Meanwhile, in another part of the universe, a spacecraft was traveling through the universe. It was the Myriad Star. At that moment, Xiaoping, Tu Linglong, and Green Yuan had already left Dragonwood Planet and even the Western universe. They were completely far away from danger and were on the spacecraft. However, they soon learned that Wu Wudi was being hunted down. After all, this news was for the public. Aha, congratulations, human. You're finally wanted. There's a bounty of 10 billion. Tu Linglong looked at Xiaoping with schadenfreude. Green Yuan was also speechless. She had already expected this to happen. She had set up a trap and caused the deaths of so many Almighties and a large group of Western Universe elders. How could she get away scot-free? If he was not wanted, she would find it strange. The group of Almighties would probably want to capture Xiaoping and tear him to pieces. Chapter 1647. Oh, 5J? W? Dollar? Dash? Hearing Tu Linglong's words, Xiaoping was not angry. Instead, he looked happy. He knew that many powerful figures in the Western universe had put him on the wanted list, so he could imagine how much they hated him. Now that he had offended so many people, he must have earned an astronomical number of hatred points. This was a big gain for him. So how could he not be happy? Who's complimenting you? Tu Linglong looked at Xiaoping grumpily. She had never seen such a thick-skinned man. He was obviously a wanted criminal, but he still looked so smug. However, she had to admire him. With the strength of a golden core perfected cultivator, he had put a group of powerful figures in such a predicament, causing countless casualties and getting the most benefits. This was not something that could be explained by luck. What? Are you saying that I'm handsome and you want to be my wife? Xiaoping blinked his eyes. Seeing this bastard playing dumb, Tu Linglong gritted her teeth. She wanted to punch him. Time's up. Just then, Blue Yuan suddenly said, What time's up? Xiaoping turned around and looked at Blue Yuan curiously. Blue Yuan explained, This time we came to the Dragonwood secret realm to complete a trial task and obtain the Dragonwood source. Now that we have obtained these treasures, the task is over and we have to go back. After these days of getting along, Xiaoping also knew that Tu Linglong and Blue Yuan had obtained the inheritance of the Monster Temple and often participated in various trials, which was why they had improved so quickly. Then how do you go back? Xiaoping asked. We have a mark of the Monster Temple on us. As long as we use our mind, we can return to the Monster Temple. Blue Yuan suddenly looked up. Time's up. The Monster Temple is calling us. Remember, you despicable human, the next time we meet, I will definitely beat you up. Tu Linglong glared at Xiaoping fiercely. Boom! As soon as she said that, a mysterious energy emerged from Tu Linglong and Blue Yuan, enveloping them. Immediately, a black hole appeared in the space around them and instantly swallowed them. In the next second, the two disappeared and were teleported back to the Monster Temple. Are they gone? That's amazing. This is the power of the Monster Temple. Xiaoping was also a little surprised. He reckoned that the Demon Sacred Temple at least had the power of a sacred artifact. Only then could it summon Tu Linglong and Blue Yuan from so far away. However, he was not worried that the two of them would not be able to contact each other after they left. Before this, they had exchanged their contact information. If anything happened, they could contact each other on the virtual network. No matter what, they were all from the Cloud Realm. Everyone was from the same hometown, so it was normal for them to help each other. Beep! At that moment, the system's voice sounded. Congratulations, host. You have aroused the hatred of countless mighty figures and prodigies in the Western universe. You have obtained a large number of hatred points. Currently, the hatred points have reached 6 billion. I hope that the host will continue to work hard. What? Xiaoping's eyes widened. Even though he knew that he had definitely gained a lot of hatred this time, he didn't expect his hatred to reach 6 billion. One had to know that in order to exchange for the Saint-level restriction-breaking talisman, he had spent 2 billion, which meant that he had at least gained more than 10 billion hatred points this time, which was simply a windfall. With so much hatred, he didn't know how many treasures he could exchange for. But before Xiaoping could think of what to exchange, the system's voice came out again. The host's hatred value has reached 10 billion, triggering the system upgrade function. Please wait for 3 minutes. The system is upgrading. System upgrade? There was a glimmer of light in Xiaoping's eyes. It seemed that the previous system was only in its initial state, and now it could still evolve. He didn't know what the system would look like after the evolution. 3 minutes passed in a flash. Boom! Immediately, a huge stream of information poured into Xiaoping's mind like a tide. These were all information about the changes that had taken place after the system upgrade. Xiaoping suddenly discovered that there were more things to exchange than before. It seemed that there were many more types, as if it had become more complete, broader, and more powerful. Moreover, the way the hatred value was calculated had also changed. It had been replaced with hatred crystals. Now, 100 million hatred points were equivalent to 1 hatred crystal. In other words, he now had a total of 156 hatred crystals. What? A low-grade sacred artifact can be bought with 100 hatred crystals? Xiaoping's eyes widened as he found that many powerful sacred artifacts had appeared on the exchange list. The lowest grade was 100 hatred crystals, which meant that 10 billion hatred points could be exchanged. Sacred artifacts also seemed to have different grades. They were divided into low grade, middle grade, high grade, and peerless sacred artifacts. Even if there was a difference of 1 grade, the value was several times higher. A middle-grade sacred artifact required at least 300 hatred crystals to buy, a high-grade sacred artifact required 1,000 hatred crystals, and a peerless sacred artifact required at least 3,000 hatred crystals. If I exchange for a low-grade sacred artifact now, wouldn't I be able to do whatever I want? Xiaoping was immediately tempted, but he still forcibly suppressed his urge to exchange for a sacred artifact, because good steel needed to be used on a good blade. Even if he got a low-grade sacred artifact now, it wouldn't be of much help to his cultivation. If it was a trump card, he still had many on him, enough to save his life. There was no need to waste 100 hatred crystals here to exchange for a treasure that he couldn't use for the time being. There are a lot more cultivation methods, and these are all God tier. Xiaoping also found that there were many more cultivation methods, such as the Great Emperor scripture that he had seen a long time ago, which required 100 hatred crystals, equivalent to 10 billion hatred points, and the cultivation method was God tier. The Void scripture required 100 hatred crystals, and the cultivation method was God tier. The Starry Sky Devouring Art, grade, God tier, priced at 100 hatred crystals. He now knew the system's classification of various cultivation methods: mortal tier, king tier, saint tier, and God tier. I didn't expect to be able to exchange for a God tier cultivation method. That's a cultivation method that surpasses the saint tier, but why is the price of a God tier cultivation method cheaper than a magic treasure? Xiaoping was very puzzled. The system said, the reason is very simple. Although it is a God tier cultivation method, it takes a long time for a cultivator to cultivate it, and it requires a lot of resources. Moreover, some God tier cultivation methods also require special talent. Even if ordinary people want to cultivate them, they have no way to do so. There are great restrictions. However, a sacred artifact is different. It can be used by anyone, and once obtained, it will have a strong combat power and immediate effects. Naturally, the price is high. Moreover, the system is not a shop. It doesn't need to make a profit. It is just a magic treasure to assist in cultivation. The reason why these prices are set is to urge the host to cultivate and speed up the host's growth. At this point, it paused and said, the most important thing is that the energy used to exchange hatred points for magic treasures is many times greater than the energy used to exchange for secret manuals. Naturally, the price is also much higher. Chapter 1648. System, what do you mean by this? Is hatred itself a kind of energy? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes, and he heard a lot of secret from the system's words. Emotion itself is a kind of energy, and hatred is the most powerful kind of energy among many emotions. Although ordinary people can't perceive it and can't use it, but the super hatred system is different. The system said, some people say that love is the greatest energy of emotions. In fact, not everyone is love, but everyone will have hatred, and it is the easiest energy to get. After all, it is difficult to make others love you, but it is easy to make others hate you. System, where did you come from, and what is your purpose? Xiaoping felt that after the system upgrade, it seemed to take the initiative to reveal a lot of secrets to him, which was completely different from before. The host's authority is insufficient. The system cannot answer this question. The system replied, Insufficient authority? How do I upgrade my authority? Xiaoping asked, Try to get hatred. As long as the hatred reaches a certain level, the host will naturally upgrade his authority. The system said. Xiaoping nodded, and he also put down his inner doubts. Now his strength is still not strong enough. Even if he knows the origin of a system, what can he do with his current strength? Can this god-level cultivation technique be exchanged? Xiaoping asked. The system said, as long as the hatred is enough, it can naturally be exchanged, but the host's own pure yang immortal art is a god-level cultivation technique, and there is no need to change to other cultivation techniques. Pure yang immortal art is a god-level cultivation technique. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. Although he also knew that pure yang immortal art was very powerful, it could swallow and absorb the strange flames in the world, make it his own, and strengthen himself. It was incomparably magical, and the level of the cultivation technique must be extraordinary. But he didn't expect pure yang immortal art to be a god-level cultivation technique. However, thinking about it carefully, ordinary saint-level cultivation techniques probably can achieve the effect of swallowing strange flames. It's not hard to imagine that pure yang immortal art is so powerful. Congratulations to the host. The hatred has reached 10 billion. The host is about to get a system gift pack. Please check. At this time, the system's voice came out again. System gift pack. Xiaoping also suddenly remembered this matter. It seemed that every time the hatred absorbed reached a level, the system would give him a super gift pack, and each gift pack was extremely precious. He didn't know what the system would give him this time. Boom! Immediately, a spatial passage opened above Xiaoping's head. Then, an item fell from the sky and floated in mid-air, emitting a golden light. It was incomparably sacred, noble, and ancient. A pen. Xiaoping took a closer look and saw that it was a golden brush. There were dense golden runes engraved on it. It was incomparably ancient, as if it was a magic treasure that had existed since ancient times. This golden brush merely floated in the air. The tip of the brush was sharp, but it made his heart tremble. It was as if the sharpness of the tip of the brush could tear this world apart. Some people say that swords and sabers are the sharpest weapons in the world. But he was wrong. The pen was the sharpest weapon. No matter how powerful a sword was, it was only a weapon for killing. However, the brush was different. It could alter history, change 1,000 years, reverse reincarnation, and divide yin and yang. Someone once said that the tip of a pen could kill without spilling blood. This was how terrifying the pen was. As for the golden brush, it was clearly extraordinary. There was a faint aura of a sacred artifact within it. It was vast and boundless. Dong! Xiaoping reached out to catch the golden brush. His divine awareness seeped into it and refined it in an instant. Immediately, a huge amount of information gushed out from the golden brush. He immediately knew the real name of this brush, the reincarnation pen. The reincarnation pen. Xiaoping was shocked. He immediately remembered that the king of hell had two magic treasures, the reincarnation pen and the book of life and death. With these two magic treasures, the king of hell dominated the life and death of countless creatures and the 6 paths of reincarnation. It could be imagined how terrifying the reincarnation pen and the book of life and death were. They were absolutely extraordinary magic treasures. Well, the reincarnation pen is sealed. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He sensed that this reincarnation pen didn't seem to have a device spirit. Instead, there were numerous dense and horrible restrictive formations deep inside it. He could sense 1.08 billion layers of restrictive formations. As for the deeper layers of restrictive formations, he couldn't sense them at all. This was the power of a higher dimension. Host, you're right. This reincarnation pen is sealed. More than 99% of its power is sealed, leaving only a trace of its original power. The system said there are 5 layers of such seals, and each layer is stronger than the previous one. If you want to break the seal on the reincarnation pen, you'll need more hatred. 5 layers of seals. Xiaoping was speechless. He knew that the system wouldn't be so kind as to give him a powerful magic treasure. If this was the reincarnation pen that wasn't sealed, it could probably even kill a sage. Of course, he couldn't control such a magic treasure. Even getting close to it was an extravagant hope. Even if he wanted to activate the reincarnation pen at its peak, his magic power would be instantly sucked dry, and he would become a mummy. Even so, this reincarnation pen was an extremely terrifying magic treasure, even if it relied on its original sharpness. Swoosh! Xiaoping's figure flickered, and he immediately left the stars and came to the vacuum. He stepped into the void with the reincarnation pen in his hand. Majestic magic power was injected into the reincarnation pen. Immediately, the reincarnation pen's body emitted endless golden light, and golden scriptures appeared faintly. Dong! With a gentle stroke, the reincarnation pen revealed its sharpness. A terrifying golden cold light appeared and cut through the void, as if the void was being divided into 2 halves at that moment. In the distance, huge meteorites were instantly divided into 2 halves, and the cut was smooth. Bang! 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 Xiaoping waved the reincarnation pen crazily, and beams of golden light shot out, forming a golden killing net. Huge meteorites in the distance were instantly cut into powder. Even a small planet was torn apart from the middle when it was hit by this move. It seemed like there was no resistance at all when it was cut. It's too sharp. Xiaoping was amazed. He felt that when he waved the reincarnation pen and activated the power of the magic treasure's sharpness, it could instantly cut through the void, the earth, and a planet in half. Such sharpness alone was enough for him to run rampant. Ordinary magic treasures would be cut into pieces in front of such sharpness, and there was no way to block it. Of course, activating the reincarnation pen also required a lot of magic power. After waving it dozens of times, he felt that the magic power deep in his purple mansion was much emptier, and there was an unprecedented feeling of weakness. Good treasure. Even so, Xiaoping was overjoyed. He felt that he had obtained a great killing weapon. Chapter 1649. W for L. Carat. WMK. $T. $T. PS. Percent. G dash. Inside the mountain river pearl space, 5 million dragon wood trees were planted in the wilderness. These dragonwood trees were all secretly brought back by Xiaoping from the dragonwood mystery realm when the group of mighty figures were fighting the zombie beasts. How's the transplanting going? Can they survive? Xiaoping asked. Master, there's no problem at all. These dragonwood trees are extremely resilient. They can survive no matter what kind of soil they're planted in. Not to mention they're planted on the 9 heavens living soil. The green ox said confidently, as long as I have enough time, it won't be a problem to propagate these dragonwood trees to tens of billions. Master, don't worry. It was very experienced in cultivating plants. Dragonwood trees were also considered a type of plant. Very good. Xiaoping was very satisfied because he could obtain a large amount of dragon wood source from the dragonwood trees. This energy was equivalent to dragon crystals. As long as he had a large number of dragon crystals, not only could they help him cultivate, but they could also activate the power of the ancient heavenly dragon talisman. It was equivalent to him having a huge trump card. Master, this zombie beast seems to be in a deep sleep and evolving. It won't wake up anytime soon. How should we deal with it? The green ox asked, pointing to a black sphere that was floating not far away. Ever since it signed a contract with Xiaoping, the zombie beast had fallen into a deep sleep. It seemed that its body had undergone some strange changes, but it was not clear what the changes were. Let's put it aside for now. No, it's better to temporarily isolate it in a special space. After all, no one knows what will happen when it wakes up. It's better to avoid any accidents. Xiaoping thought carefully and decided to first isolate the zombie beast and deal with it separately. Although the zombie beast had a soul seal and was completely obedient to him, the problem was that the zombie beast was too dangerous. Who knew if it would cause any damage to the Mountain River Pearl space when it woke up? This space was planted with many of his precious plants. It could not be accidentally destroyed by the zombie beast. Otherwise, his efforts would all go to waste. Understood, Master. The green ox nodded, indicating that it understood. It immediately sealed the sleeping zombie beast. Several days later, inside the Dragonwood Forest, Xiaoping sat cross-legged on the ground, circulating the pure yang immortal incantation. With his body as the center, he created an energy field that covered 100,000 li, like a koan peng, swallowing everything in its path. Vaguely, the space around him began to vibrate in an incredible rhythm. The 5 million dragon trees around him also seemed to breathe with Xiaoping's breathing, as if they were resonating with the power in Xiaoping's body. In the depths of his purple palace, the world tree was also breathing. Its body emitted bursts of gentle green light. It swallowed and spat out the world origin qi, constantly strengthening its body. Xiaoping closed his eyes, but he could sense that the 5 million dragon trees seemed to have transformed into 5 million specks of light. At the same time, wisps of mysterious energy were being transmitted to the world tree, serving as nutrients for it. If someone saw the world tree, they would definitely be shocked because the world tree was growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters, 50 meters, and in the end, it grew to a height of 100 meters. It was at least 20 to 30 stories high. More importantly, dense green runes appeared on the leaves and branches of the world tree. They were mysterious, ancient, great, and vast. They seemed to contain the endless mysteries of the universe. At the same time, the world tree also emitted a rich, mysterious energy that spread throughout the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. The trees that grew in the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers, including the dragon trees, the golden corn, the crystal rice, and the many 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs, all seemed to have received a huge supplement of energy. They grew strong and healthy, increasing the source energy in their bodies. Obviously, cultivating under these spiritual objects and absorbing the aura of these spiritual objects was beneficial to the growth of the world tree. Even if these spiritual objects received the energy of the world tree, it would be greatly beneficial. The two sides could help each other. Rumble. As the world tree grew, Xiaoping felt that his body was also undergoing earth-shattering changes. His soul seemed to be rapidly merging with the world tree. If someone could see Xiaoping's soul, they would immediately find that there was a towering tree growing in the depths of his soul. That was the world tree. It was indomitable. Countless roots pierced into the depths of Xiaoping's soul. Its branches expanded outwards, constantly increasing the width of Xiaoping's soul. Because of these roots, his soul was extremely sturdy. It was as if he had built a house with steel and concrete. Even if he encountered a level 18 hurricane or a level 10 earthquake, he would still be safe and sound. If someone wanted to use illusions, curses, or other spiritual powers to kill Xiaoping, it would be useless. This was equivalent to having the world tree protecting his soul. It was extremely sturdy. Walala, Xiaoping used the pure yang immortal art. He found that the world tree had merged with his soul. It seemed to make his perception of the universe clearer. He could absorb 10 times more energy than before. What was more amazing was that the branches and roots of the world tree penetrated the void and took root in the space. This also allowed him to sense many dimensional spaces in the depths of the universe. It seemed that every root had pierced into a dimensional space and was absorbing the energy of the dimensional space. This is a dimensional space. Xiaoping's soul immediately sensed the unique dimensional spaces in the depths of the void. Some were flame-dimensional spaces. It was a boundless world of fire. It was filled with endless flames. Ordinary life could not survive here at all. Some were ice-dimensional spaces. It was a world of ice and snow. It was white and whistling. There was ice everywhere. It was as if even blood would be frozen. Some were metal dimensional spaces. This dimensional space was filled with Gung metal chi. It transformed into sabers, swords, halberds, spears, and 18 other weapons. Each weapon contained endless killing intent. If someone accidentally entered this place, they would immediately be assimilated into metal. There were countless such dimensional worlds. They seemed to form the energy of a universe and maintain the operation of a universe. Incredible. Xiaoping was very touched. It was as if he had peered into the great mystery of a universe. It was an unchanging truth. This should have been a scene that could only be seen after advancing to the returning nature realm and condensing the primordial spirit. However, with the help of the world tree, he could see this scene in advance and feel the mystery of the dimensional space. However, it was natural for the world tree to be able to do this, because the world tree itself was rooted in the void. It grew up by absorbing the energy of the endless dimensional worlds. Its roots were connected to the dimensional space. Its branches carried the stars. Its trunk supported the universe. It itself was a world. Even if it was only in its infancy, it could communicate with the dimensional space and absorb the energy of the void. Chapter 1650. Amazing. Xiaoping sensed the dimensions deep in the universe. He used his martial arts, and the world tree trembled slightly. Green runes flashed on each of its roots, producing a devouring power. At the same time, many small black holes appeared in the depths of the void. They were the size of a thumb and were densely packed. Then a large amount of energy poured down from the depths of the dimension. Like a flood, it poured into Xiaoping's body. It was as if he was bathing in an ocean of energy. Every pore on his body was breathing. Comfortable. Xiaoping felt comfortable all over. He felt a sense of happiness that he had never felt before. It was as if he was wrapped in his mother's amniotic fluid. It was warm and peaceful. The amount of energy he absorbed was much better than before. Walala, the spiritual power in his body, was increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The space deep in the purple mansion was also being filled up by a large amount of spiritual power. Just this one round of cultivation had saved him several years of effort in condensing his magical power. I see. Xiaoping also understood why the returning Truth Realm cultivators were so powerful. After reaching the returning Truth Realm, the amount of energy needed to improve was astronomical. It was not enough to just absorb the chi of heaven and earth. It was estimated that he would not improve much until he died of old age. It was as ridiculous as trying to fill the ocean with a bucket of water. Only by communicating with the dimensional world and swallowing the boundless energy of the dimensional world could one quickly improve their cultivation. But some returning Truth Realm cultivators with weak Yuan Shun could only connect to some weak and shallow dimensions. This way, the amount of energy they absorbed was extremely small. It also caused their speed of improvement to be much slower. But Xiaoping was different. Even if he had not reached the returning Truth Realm and had not condensed Yuan Shun, he could still use the power of the world tree to sense the deeper dimensions and absorb the boundless energy. If I can get more spiritual items, I can definitely speed up the growth of the world tree. This way, I can connect to more dimensions and absorb more energy. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. Now, he also knew how to speed up the growth of the world tree. This required collecting a large amount of plants. But not ordinary plants, but spiritual and rare plants. By absorbing the chi from these plants, the growth of the world tree could be sped up and obtain sufficient nutrients. At this time, on the other side, a mysterious demiplane was floating around the universe like a floating island. Inside the demiplane was a huge and majestic laboratory. In this laboratory, there were many precious experimental equipment. These were treasures that couldn't be bought with money. There were also many huge glass bottles that contained a large number of experimental samples. If someone were to see this scene, they would definitely be scared to death because these experimental specimens were all extremely terrifying. Tao Tai, Tiger Flood Dragon, Wan Bai Fong, Heavenly Dog, and so on were all terrifying existences of the divine beast level. However, These existences were all killed and turned into experimental subjects. Right, add a bit of dragon flame grass, 3 drops of phoenix blood, a dreamy dew flower, a demon emperor grass, and a portion of dragon bone. I should be able to concoct a pretty good potion. At this moment, a domineering woman with a horn on her head and an extremely hot figure in a white coat was observing various experimental data. She seemed to have fallen into a state of fanaticism as she concocted a potion. She was the dragon scientist, Titania. She stared at the container on the table. Many materials were fused together, and an intense chemical reaction immediately occurred. It rolled like lava, and at the same time, clouds of black mist appeared. Vaguely, there were skeletons rolling in the black mist. It contained terrifying curse power and illusory power, as if there were demons roaring in the black mist. It was hair-raising. Whoosh! In the end, the materials boiled to the extreme. Countless molecules collided violently, and the entire container exploded. The explosion was several times more terrifying than the explosion of a planet. However, the moment it was about to explode, Titania seemed to have gotten used to it. She waved her hand, and a mass of chaotic energy immediately wrapped around the container. A wormhole immediately appeared in front of it. The container was immediately thrown out. After flying for an unknown distance, it suddenly exploded. The star field within a radius of thousands of light years was affected, and countless asteroids were blasted into powder. Fortunately, this was an uninhabited star field. Otherwise, who knew how many people would have died? I failed again. Looks like this immortal potion is very difficult to concoct. What went wrong? Titania was very distressed. She frowned and fell in a deep thought. Beep. At that moment, Titania's communicator immediately received a message, causing her to wake up from her frenzied state. She looked at it, and her eyes lit up like stars. There's actually such a thing? The failed corpse beast was actually taken away by someone who broke the seal and even successfully enslaved it? How'd he do it? Titania received the news that Wu Wuti had enslaved corpse beasts in the Western universe, which shocked her. This was because corpse beasts could be said to be the most terrifying monster she had ever created. They might not necessarily be the strongest, but they were definitely the most terrifying and dangerous. Even she was a little afraid of them. However, such a corpse beast had actually been enslaved and controlled by someone else. It was really unbelievable. This also made her, who had lived for who knew how long, a little interested. Interesting, really interesting. I really want to see this little guy and ask him how he did it. Titania's eyes were filled with fanaticism. She had an urge to see Wu Wuti. Thinking of this, she gently tapped, and a mysterious ripple merged into the universe. It was like a signal that was transmitted to various parts of the universe. Convey my orders. Immediately find Wu Wuti's whereabouts. Once you get any news, quickly send it over. Although she was a universe-level fugitive wanted by countless saints, it did not mean that she did not have friends or forces in the dark. With her methods, it was easy to secretly enslave and conquer a few races to do many things for her. Even saints would not be able to find out. In fact, her forces in the dark were even more terrifying than many saints imagined. They covered the entire universe. If not for such an intelligence network, she would have probably been caught long ago. How could she escape unscathed every time? Of course, other than intelligence, her strength was not to be underestimated. And this time, an acquaintance had asked her if she had sent people to enslave corpse beasts. After all, the matter of corpse beasts was too important. Even a saint had to be careful. Yes. Chapter 1651. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. The stars were docked in a hidden meteorite zone in the Western universe, disguised as a meteorite. Even if a spaceship passed by, it would be impossible to find it. Xiaoping stayed in the space of the mountain river Pearl to cultivate. In these 3 months, he cultivated honestly and did nothing else. He comprehended the dimension through the Tree of World and devoured the energy instilled by the dimension world. After such hard work, he made rapid progress and raised his dermic power to the peak of the golden elixir realm, reaching the perfected realm. He was just one step away from condensing his primordial spirit and breaking through to the restoration realm. The dermic power in his body surged, and every meridian surged like the yellow river. Even his blood condensed and flowed like magma, and many infernal golden crow runes appeared. If someone saw the golden elixir in Xiaoping's body, they would see that the shadow of the primordial spirit in the depths of the golden elixir was getting clearer and clearer, like a mature chick that would break out of its shell at any time. Also, because of comprehending the dimension, his soul power was more than 30% stronger than before. He had understood some of the mysteries of the primordial spirit in advance and gained great benefits. This also made the dermic power waves on Xiaoping's body even more terrifying, forming a black hole that seemed to be able to devour everything. Phew! Xiaoping took a deep breath and calmed the dermic power waves in his body. This was considered the end of this cultivation. His eyes glowed, and there seemed to be a sun in the depths of his pupils, containing terrifying energy. With a slight movement, his gaze could penetrate a mountain. Beep beep. At this time, Xiaoping's communicator rang. He subconsciously looked over and found that it was Qiuxue and Su Mei. They were requesting a video call. They actually contacted me. Did something happen? He was very curious why Su Mei and Qiuxue contacted him, so he reached out and clicked on the connection. Dong! Immediately, a virtual projection appeared, and Su Mei and Qiuxue's beautiful and sexy figures immediately appeared in front of Xiaoping. It was as if they were very close. Xiaoping, Su Mei, and Qiuxue looked at Xiaoping with very complicated expressions. Because of what happened in the dense fog star zone last time, they got along with Xiaoping very awkwardly. After all, that had happened to both of them. It was impossible to pretend that it had never happened. What's the matter? Are you pregnant? The baby is mine, right? How many months has it been? Xiaoping blinked his eyes and looked at Qiuxue and Su Mei's stomachs to see if there were any signs of protrusion. He asked a series of questions like cannonballs. Buffed, you're the one who's pregnant. Qiuxue couldn't help but spit at Xiaoping, and her pretty face turned red. This bastard's dog mouth couldn't spit out ivory. They just met and communicated, and he shamelessly said such words. If we are really pregnant, will you marry us? Su Mei giggled and looked at Xiaoping. Marry, of course marry together. Even if I'm not pregnant, I still have to marry her. Xiaoping said carelessly, I've thought about the names of the children. The firstborn will be called Xiada, the second will be called Xia the third will be called Xia San, regardless of gender, and so on. This will save the trouble of naming them. After all, if they have a football team in the future, it will be very troublesome to name them. Qiuxue was speechless. She wanted to bite him. What kind of father was he? He actually dared to give such a name. Was he not afraid of being beaten to death by the child in the future? He was simply too irresponsible. Sister Qiuxue, Sister Su, you two actually have that kind of relationship? At this moment, a clear and melodious voice sounded out from the side, and the tone was bewildered and uncertain. Another graceful figure appeared beside Su Mei and Qiuxue. It was a stunning woman with long wavy hair. She wore a tight, midriff-bearing top on her upper body, revealing her impressive breasts. She wore a pair of denim hot pants on her lower body, revealing a pair of fair and long legs. Her legs were amazingly long and straight, making people tremble. Her whole person looked like a complete mess. Those legs, that chest, that tongue. She was simply a peerless beauty, making countless men salivate, wishing they could immediately kneel under her pomegranate skirt. Nangong Wu. Xiaoping recognized this stunning woman at once. She was Nangong Wu, a fellow villager from Yanwang Star. He didn't expect to see her again. Although he also learned about Nangong Wu's current situation from Qiuxue and Su Mei, they hadn't seen each other for a long time, and he didn't know how the other party was doing now. Don't call me that, rogue. Pervert. Smelly bug. Nangong Wu looked at Xiaoping angrily and gnashed her teeth. She was originally very happy to see Xiaoping again, and this was a reunion that she had been looking forward to for a long time. Perhaps she would even cry tears of joy. But who would have thought that this rogue actually had an unknown dirty relationship with teacher Qiuxue and the royal sister Su Mei? They were almost pregnant, which was simply despicable. One must know that Xioshu used to be his teacher, class teacher, and elder. She didn't expect this beast to do this, and it seemed that he was cheating on both of them. Although she also knew that this bastard was a rogue, she didn't expect him to be this rogue. He even dared to F***ck his teacher. What else wouldn't he dare to do? Was he so daring that he wouldn't even let go of his beautiful mother-in-law? Little Wu, it's not what you think. It was actually just an accident, Xioshu said with a guilty conscience. Oh, accident? That is to say, this is true, and you really had that kind of relationship? Nangong Wu was very keen, and she immediately grasped the essence of the matter. This was what women were like. Before they confirmed their relationship, they were like Sherlock Holmes. They were extremely rational, and no clues could escape their deduction. However, once the relationship was confirmed, all rationality would be gone. Their IQ would return to zero, and they would be swayed by their emotions and cause trouble for no reason. Unless it was a man who had an affair, she would have to catch him in bed. Only then would her IQ return to normal. Xioshu was very embarrassed and didn't know what to say. She wanted to bite Xiaoping, this bastard, to death. Xiaowu, no matter what the truth is, we really did have sex. However, Sumei generously admitted it. Her beautiful eyes roamed about, radiating a radiance. I have to say, this man is indeed skilled. He is rich in experience. He served me obediently, leaving me with endless aftertaste. You're too kind. This is just an insignificant strength of mine. If there's a chance, let's spar again. Xiaoping said modestly. Have sex with your husband. Nangong Wu gnashed her teeth in anger. These two bastards had definitely hooked up with each other. They had feelings for each other, and everyone had their own needs. Heavenly lightning stirring up the flames of the earth, and so on. It was out of control. Chapter 1652. Xiao Wu, your thinking is too outdated. What era is it now? We are all adults. What's wrong with having some needs? Why do you care so much? Sumei suddenly approached Nangong Wu and licked her lips. Of course, if you want, you can take the initiative. Sometimes, women are too reserved and will let go of some good men. Take the initiative. Nangong Wu blinked her big eyes, a little confused. Sumei whispered in her ear, taking the initiative means that you strip naked in front of a man, push him down on the bed, and then do this and that, and then scream. She described a series of indescribable things very vividly. Her tone was ambiguous and captivating. Ah, female hooligan, shameless. Hearing this, Nangong Wu's pretty face suddenly turned red. Her head seemed to be so hot that steam appeared. Her body was very hot, as if the temperature had risen by several degrees. She immediately thought of many scenes that were not suitable for children. She actually ran away with an ah, because she really couldn't stand such a big stimulation. Compared to such an experienced female hooligan, she was really too young. Haha, how cute. Seeing Nangong Wu run away like a rabbit, Sumei giggled with a happy expression. Xiao Wu, Xioshu called out, wanting to stop Nangong Wu, but Nangong Wu ran too fast and disappeared in a flash. This speed was faster than the speed she used in the past. Sumei, you're too much. What did you say to her? Why did she run away in anger? Xioshu glared at Sumei, very angry. Sumei spread her hands. I just told her some things about mature women in advance. It's no big deal. Moreover, she's not a child anymore, so don't worry. By the way, don't we still have business to talk about? She stealthily changed the topic. Hearing that business, Xioshu also calmed down. She turned to look at Xiaoping and said, Xiaoping, I contacted you this time because we accidentally discovered a primitive planet when we were carrying out a mission in the northern universe. On that planet, there was a cave abode left behind by a Thunder Retribution Realm expert after he died. That cave abode contained the Thunder Retribution Realm expert's life, savings, and many treasures. However, his cave is surrounded by a powerful restrictive array formation. If it was a restrictive array formation, there would be a way to break it. However, the problem is that his cave's defense is not as simple as a restrictive array formation. He also left behind a powerful deviant flame to guard the cave, making it impossible to get close. Heavenly flame? Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat. What kind of heavenly flame is it? He was instantly moved. His pure young immortal incantation needed to devour a large number of deviant flames in order to evolve. He was very concerned about the whereabouts of every deviant flame. After all, this was related to the progress of his cultivation. It's a purplish-black flame. It's called a star blaze, Qiushu said in a deep voice. Star blaze flame. Hearing this, Xiaoping was immediately overjoyed. He knew the power of this deviant flame. It was definitely one of the best. It was born in the starry sky and grew stronger by absorbing the power of the stars. Because this deviant flame was born in the boundless starry sky, it was very difficult for ordinary people to find it. Moreover, this deviant flame was able to grow stronger and evolve safely, causing it to exist for a long time. It even gave birth to a weak spiritual intelligence. It was an extremely difficult task to capture it. If one was not careful, it would escape. Moreover, this kind of flame was very powerful. It could burn stars. Ordinary objects that approached, it would be burned into nothingness. Even almighty experts were afraid of it and did not dare to approach it. If he could devour this star blaze flame, he would be able to greatly improve his cultivation and strengthen the power of the deviant flame in his body. It was no wonder that Qiushu and the others were unable to break the cave abode's restrictive array formation. With the existence of this deviant flame, it was practically impregnable. If one dared to approach it, only death would await them. However, for Xiaoping, this was nothing. Instead, it was a fortuitous encounter. We know that you cultivate a unique cultivation method that could devour all kinds of deviant flames. Therefore, we wanted to invite you here and subdue your deviant flame. At the same time, we can also obtain the treasure left behind by the Retribution Realm expert. Sumei stated the purpose of their contact. This was a win-win situation. Xiaoping would obtain the deviant flame, and they would obtain the Retribution Realm expert's treasure to strengthen their cultivation. No problem at all. Where's the planet? Xiaoping immediately asked. He was not interested in the Retribution Realm expert's treasure at all. In this dragon with secret realm alone, he had killed God knows how many Retribution Realm experts and obtained great benefits from it. It could be said that his current wealth was not something an ordinary Retribution Realm expert could imagine. To him, ordinary treasures were better than nothing. All right, this is the place. Qiushu immediately sent a star chart to Xiaoping. Then, she asked, "Oh right, when will you arrive?" She wanted to know the exact time Xiaoping would arrive. 3 days. 3 days should be enough. Xiaoping thought for a moment and answered. Qiushu was shocked. So fast. According to her plan, Xiaoping would need at least a few months to arrive. After all, the distance between the Eastern Universe and the Northern Universe was too far. Well, I have a powerful flying treasure. But let's not talk about this for now. Let's talk when we meet. Xiaoping ended the call. He could not wait to go to the Northern Universe. On the other hand, on a primitive planet. After ending the call, Qiushu said excitedly, "I didn't expect Xiaoping to arrive so soon. It seems that we should obtain this Retribution Realm expert's cave abode. It's better to be careful. The information about this cave abode is very secretive. Only the 3 of us know about it." Sumei narrowed her eyes. But many people in the sect are watching our every move. Those with ulterior motives might discover something fishy. If that happens, it will be a bit troublesome. A Retribution Realm expert's cave abode is enough to attract the greed of many people. Geniuses like them with great luck would attract the attention of countless people with their every move. This was like a beacon of light. Many people stared at these geniuses with amazing luck and followed them, hoping to get some luck and obtain treasures. In fact, many cultivators in the universe did the same. They were unlucky and couldn't obtain treasures by taking risks. So, they secretly followed those with great luck and got a share of the loot. Many geniuses had a large amount of luck plundered, and thus became ordinary. You're right. Qiushu nodded. But it's only 3 days. It shouldn't be a big problem. Let's find Xiaowu first and discuss something with her. I saw her run northeast. I'll be able to catch her soon. Chapter 1653. The Northern Universe was different from the Eastern Universe, the Western Universe, and the Southern Universe. It was the region with the least number of people among the four major universes. This was because the northern universe's environment was extremely harsh, and there were very few planets suitable for life. In the northern universe, there were many space secret realms and space tunnels. From time to time, space storms, dimensional explosions, and so on would erupt. Every voyage was very dangerous. If one accidentally encountered a space storm or space turbulence, they would definitely die. Therefore, every voyage had to be careful. Among the many planets in the northern universe, most of them were either erupting volcanoes, covered in ice and snow, or filled with poisonous gas, lightning, and torrential rain. They were all planets with all kinds of extreme weather. This also resulted in the ferocity of the northern universe's creatures. They could be said to be the most valiant race in the universe. In terms of individual combat power, the northern universe's creatures had the highest average. At the same time, the northern universe also had the most bandits and interstellar pirates. It was extremely chaotic, and they robbed everywhere. Many famous and ferocious interstellar pirates in history came from the northern universe. It was also because the northern universe's environment was too harsh that many northern universe races always wanted to invade the eastern universe, the western universe, and so on, hoping to occupy a star field. However, they were too few in number, which resulted in them being unable to dominate. They were always defeated, but they had never extinguished their ambitions. As expected of the northern universe, the environment is really harsh. At this moment, Xiaoping piloted the stars. After more than a day of sailing, he finally arrived in the northern universe. As soon as he arrived in the northern universe, he immediately received a baptism of the northern universe. A huge black hole suddenly appeared in the distance, spewing out a terrifying energy storm like a star exploding. Such an explosion could destroy an area thousands of light years away. Fortunately, he was piloting the Saint-class spaceship, Stars. It was extremely fast and had extremely strong defense, so he easily avoided the energy storm. Otherwise, he would have died without a doubt. When this energy swept past, tens of thousands of planets in the surroundings were reduced to ashes. Moreover, this was not a coincidence, but a frequent occurrence. From time to time, a black hole would suddenly appear, triggering the energy from the depths of the dimension and pouring down. It was impossible to guard against it. He also knew why the northern universe races were famous in the universe. They were fierce and valiant. It was impossible for creatures that grew up in such a harsh environment not to be fierce. Those that were not strong enough would have long died in the storms. It was survival of the fittest. Corinne, how much longer until we arrive? Xiaoping asked. According to the star chart, the unknown primitive planet is in the Red Sun sector, which is under the jurisdiction of Mingyue Court. It's about a day's journey away, so we'll be able to reach it soon, Corinne replied. Yes. Xiaoping nodded. He sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate, inhaling and exhaling the qi of heaven and earth. A day later, Myriad Star arrived at the Red Sun star zone. It passed by many planets along the way and finally arrived at the end of the star map. It was a remote, primitive planet. The surrounding planets were all barren, and there were no signs of life within a radius of tens of thousands of light years. Dong! Stars landed on the primitive planet and arrived in front of a valley. Xiuxiu, Su Mei, and Nangong Wu were waiting in the valley. They had also received news from Xiaoping on their communicators. With a snap, the hatch opened and Xiaoping walked out of the spaceship. Dong! However, just as Xiaoping walked out and landed on the ground, a figure immediately rushed up and with lightning speed, ruthlessly stomped on his foot. Nangong Wu, what are you trying to do? Xiaoping looked at the girl who had jumped in front of him, speechlessly. Did she think that she could hurt him with just one stomp? Did she really think that he had trained his martial arts for nothing? He had long become a diamond body, the kind that could not be destroyed by ordinary magic treasures. Scumbag. Nangong Wu snorted coldly. Her beautiful eyes were very unfriendly, as if she was looking for places on Xiaoping's body that she could bite. She completely wanted to eat him like a meat bun. What scumbag? Nangong Wu. Don't think that I'll be afraid of you, just because you've put on weight, Xiao Ping warned. Hearing this, Nan Gongwu immediately exploded. Xiao Ping, say that again. Who's put on weight? She wanted to kick him again. Some parts are fat, and some parts are thin. Xiao Ping looked Nan Gongwu up and down and touched his chin. Tui pervert. Nan Gongwu's pretty face turned red, and she glared at him fiercely. All right, let's stop here. We still have important matters to attend to. Sume reached out and grabbed Nan Gongwu back. Xioshu stepped forward and went straight to the point. The cave residence of the Thunder Retribution Realm expert is in this valley. It's surrounded by star-blaze fire. See if you can deal with it. She pointed at the valley in front of them. Xiao Ping looked over, and his divine sense permeated it. He immediately sensed that this valley was enveloped by an invisible restrictive formation. It was invisible, and its aura was restrained. It even produced the power of illusion, making people unable to see the miraculous aspects of this valley. However, in front of his golden crow hell eyes, this bit of power of illusion was nothing. He saw through it in an instant. Boom! Two solidified gazes penetrated the valley, breaking through the void like lightning. They penetrated the restrictive formation of the valley and immediately discovered that there was a large amount of purplish-black flames burning in the periphery of the valley. Clusters of purplish-black flames covered the entrance of the valley like stars in the sky. There were 360 of them, and they seemed to have formed a heavenly cycle star formation. It seemed that if anyone dared to enter this valley's restrictive formation, they would be instantly engulfed by the star blaze, fire, and die without a complete corpse. It was no wonder that Xioshu and the others were so afraid and couldn't approach. It seemed that this fallen Thunder Retribution Realm expert was not a simple figure. Interesting. Xiao Ping smiled slightly. His figure flickered, and he immediately stepped forward, stepping into the valley. Xiao Ping. Nan Gongwu cried out in alarm. She was very worried and wanted to warn Xiao Ping about the dangers of the valley. Although she was angry at this bastard's actions, she didn't want to see him die in vain. Don't worry, that kid is not an idiot. If he dares to go in, it means that he has absolute confidence. Su Mei held Nan Gongwu's hand and told her not to be nervous. Indeed, just watch. These alien flames shouldn't have much effect on him. Xioshu had dual cultivated with Xiao Ping once before, so she knew some of Xiao Ping's secrets, especially the peerless cultivation method that could devour the alien flames in the world. It was extraordinary. Throughout the entire Mingyue Pavilion, there was probably no secret book that could compare to this cultivation method. Whoosh! The moment Xiao Ping stepped into the restrictive formation of the valley, it was like he had alerted the snake. The star blaze on the periphery of the valley was completely alarmed, and it was completely enraged. Chapter 1654. Boom, boom, boom. In the blink of an eye, the 360 stars formed by the star flame bombarded down. Every strike contained earth-shattering power that shook the heavens and shook the earth. In fact, these were all astral flames, terrifying flames that could even burn planets into ashes. They possessed the characteristics of scorching heat, destruction, and destruction. They were extremely terrifying. Faintly, a gigantic astral formation smashed downwards, as though it was bombarding the heavens and earth with boundless might. Within the radius of this grand formation, even the tiniest speck of dust would be destroyed. Good timing. Xiao Ping circulated the pure, yang, immortal art. The mana in his body was like an ocean seething. Each of his pores emitted flaming runes that flew into the air and rapidly condensed. A moment later, a solar furnace was completely condensed, blazing fiercely. It was like a furnace used to refine heavenly flames. Countless mysterious runes were engraved on its exterior. Numerous stars formed from astral flames smashed into the solar furnace and were instantly devoured cleanly by the solar furnace, as though it was a whale swallowing its prey. Although the astral flames were extremely powerful, to the golden crow of hell, the ancestor of all flames, these types of heavenly flames were nothing more than ordinary snacks, not even worth mentioning. As for the solar furnace, it was a supreme innate technique that could refine all types of flames. It was the nemesis of many heavenly flames. Roar! At this moment, the astral flames felt an immense threat. Its entire body turned cold as it let out a roar that resembled the roar of a divine beast, yet also resembled the cry of a ferocious bird. It circulated all of its power, and the flames flourished. The great heavenly cycle stellar formation absorbed the power of the stars, and its power increased explosively. Strands of flames turned into nuclear bombs, exploding crazily and producing a terrifying impact force. The astral flames wanted to use all their strength, wanting to break out of the solar furnace and escape. Devour. But it wasn't easy for Xiaoping to capture all the astral flames into the solar furnace. How could he allow them to escape so easily? He circulated the pure, yang, immortal art. The solar furnace in the air revolved slowly as dark golden runes of pure yang appeared. They were like millstones that rapidly extinguished the astral flames. Bang, bang, bang. After a short period of time, the scripture appeared from the depths of the furnace, enveloping everything. No matter how the starfire struggled or how it attacked, it was useless. It was easily suppressed. It was like the solar furnace had become an absolute barrier that sealed the space, isolating the three realms. Even if the astral flame had the ability to flee into the void, it had no way to escape. After an unknown period of time, these astral blazing flames were all refined by the sun furnace. All the ferocious nature of the astral blazing flames was extinguished, leaving behind only the essence of the astral blazing flames. The seed formed by the star blaze fire was incomparably mystical. Many star runes appeared on its surface, as if there were many stars living within it, condensing into a star array. It floated in midair and slowly rotated. The power of the stars in the depths of the void also seemed to be drawn down and poured into the seed, strengthening its power source. Xiaoping opened his mouth wide and instantly swallowed the mystical flame seed of the star, blazing flame, into his stomach. In an instant, it fused with his dantian and became one with it. Rumble. After the astral blazing flame was completely devoured, the golden crow of hell bloodline in his body seemed to be stimulated as well. It was as if the pathway to evolution had been stimulated. Numerous golden crow of hell cells were unsealed. 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. In the end, over 1 million cells had been awakened. Up until now, he had already awakened over 8 million golden crow of hell cells. The golden crow of hell bloodline in his body became even denser. Numerous golden crow runes appeared in the depths of his bloodline, as if they had completely fused with his blood. They contained a hint of indestructibility. At the same time, the magic power in his body also crazily increased. The primordial spirit in the depths of his golden core also seemed to have become stronger. Even his golden core was shaken to the point where cracks appeared. It seemed that after a short period of time, the primordial spirit in his body would be able to condense and break out of his shell. With Xia Ping's body as the center, a tyrannical aura instantly appeared. It was like a barrier that enveloped a radius of hundreds of thousands of kilometers, almost covering the entire planet. Any living creature that was enveloped by this barrier would feel a trace of fear in their hearts. The valley's restrictive spell has been broken. Qiushu's divine sense was very sensitive. She immediately sensed that the outer restrictive spell that had been set up around the valley had disappeared. In an instant, the valley had returned to its original appearance. She discovered that this was just an ordinary valley. There was not a single blade of grass growing in the surroundings. There was a bronze door in the valley. The words Flame Reverend's Cave Abode were carved on it, emitting a trace of mystical power. The star-blazing fire has also disappeared. Nangong Wu also discovered this situation. It can't be. He actually ate it. She was dumbfounded as she saw the scene of Xia Ping devouring the star-blazing fire. It should be known that this was an extraordinary flame. Its power was boundless. If an ordinary person approached it, they would die and be burned to ashes. But now, Xia Ping actually had a way to devour the extraordinary flame. It was really unbelievable. As expected of Xiaoping, he is really too powerful. Sumei's beautiful eyes shone with a strange light. Her eyes shone brightly, and she looked extremely charming. Come over. The restrictive spell of this valley has been broken. Xiaoping stood in front of the cave abode. As the restrictive spell of the star blazing fire was broken, the entire restrictive spell of the cave abode had also collapsed. Now, the cave abode had no defensive power. He could enter at any time. Thank you all for helping us break the restrictive spell of this place. I'm extremely grateful. Now you all can leave. I, Yin Kan Tian, will take over this cave abode. At this moment, a voice was heard. The voice was like thunder, shaking the earth. It emitted the aura of the peak of the returning nature realm. The primordial spirit activated the power of the dimensional space. A young man in black flew over from afar. He stood with his hands behind his back, looking extremely arrogant. Beside him, more than 10 young disciples appeared. They were all at least in the golden elixir realm. Once these people appeared, they immediately suppressed the entire place. They were invincible. Yin Kan Tian? Who is he? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He already knew that there were people lying in ambush nearby. However, their auras were too weak like flies. Therefore, he didn't care much. He didn't expect that this group of people would really dare to jump out. Be careful. He is a successor disciple of the Black Heaven sect. He is at the peak of the returning nature realm. He is an expert who has condensed his primordial spirit. Xiu Xue and Su Mei obviously knew Yin Kan Tian. However, they didn't expect that Yin Kan Tian and his group of people were lying in ambush nearby, waiting for them to break the restrictive spell of this cave abode. Yin Kan Tian, why are you here? Nangong Wu's expression changed. She seemed to know Yin Kan Tian. She was very surprised that he would appear here. After all, he was a disciple of the Black Heaven sect. Chapter 1655. Hearing this, Yin Tiankong sneered. His eyes revealed a hint of ruthlessness. Of course you don't want me to appear in this place, so that I won't stop you from meeting your lover. If it weren't for some junior sisters in Mingyue Court who told me about your whereabouts, I wouldn't have known that you were such a despicable woman. You're a disgrace to your mother's Huang family. Nangong Wu, don't forget that you're my fiancé. You're the link between the Wang family and the Yun family. You can't do whatever you want. He exuded a gloomy aura. Originally, he went to Mingyue Court to meet his fiancée, Nangong Wu. He followed her secretly and even planned to play the hero and save the damsel in distress to increase her affection for him. However, he didn't expect that Nangong Wu would go on a date with her lover on this primitive planet. They would go on an adventure together and try to get the treasure left by a Thunder Tribulation State powerhouse. How would this be? If these two were to succeed, wouldn't he become rich overnight? Then they would run away like dogs and live together forever? Wouldn't he, Yin Kan Tian, become the laughingstock of the mysterious heaven sect and be cuckolded by others? He couldn't tolerate such a thing. It made him so angry that he almost couldn't control the anger in his heart. What bullsh*t fiancé? Those old bastards from the Wang family made their own decisions. I didn't admit it. Don't use the Huang family's rules on me. I have nothing to do with you. Don't think too highly of yourself. Nangong Wu said coldly. I don't care if you admit it or not. Since you've signed a contract with the Yun family, you're a member of the Yun family. Other men can't touch you, or else they'll die. Yin Tiankong's eyes were filled with ferocity. To him, a fiancé was not important. What was important was that he, Yin Tiankong, could not lose face. Of course, the treasure left by the Thunder Tribulation State powerhouse also belonged to him. It was killing two birds with one stone. His other subordinates also emitted a terrifying murderous aura. They stared at him covetously. Nangong Wu's expression was grave. She knew how terrifying the Yun family was. It was a huge force that was not inferior to the Wang family. It occupied an extremely important position in the mysterious heaven sect and had 7 or 8 Thunder Retribution Realm cultivators. Of course, the Yun family did not have any sages. Otherwise, they would not have joined the Black Heaven sect. Instead, they would have chosen to be independent and become a sage family, ruling over a star region. It was also extremely difficult to advance to the Sage Realm. There were thousands of Thunder Tribulation Realm experts, but only 1 in 10,000 could advance to the Sage Realm. Either their lifespans were exhausted, or they died under the Heavenly Tribulation. Not many could survive. Where did this dog come from? Why is no one taking it away? Isn't it afraid of biting people? At this moment, Xia Ping suddenly spoke. Maybe it's a rabid dog that can bite people everywhere because it's sick, Sume said with a smile. If you are sick, then don't come out and make a fool of yourself. Are you afraid that others won't recognize you? Xia Ping said carelessly. Sume giggled. Maybe this is the characteristic of the disease, and he doesn't know it himself. She and Xia Ping echoed each other. Xiaoxu was speechless. These two bastards really wanted the world to be in chaos. Wasn't this a slap in the face? This bastard. Nangong Wu fiercely glared at Xia Ping. She originally wanted to solve the problem, but she didn't expect this bastard to add fuel to the fire. If they completely offended Yun Tiankong's group, it would be over. Not to mention the Yun family's enormous power. Just Yun Tiankong's group's current strength alone was enough to kill them dozens of times without even taking a breath. Was it easy for her to work hard? This peaceful situation was destroyed before it even started. Hearing this, Yun Tiankong's group's expression immediately changed. They were born in the Yun family and had a noble status. They were used to being high and mighty and were always flattered by others. When had they ever heard such sarcastic words? This was simply a slap in the face. Many of the Yun family subordinates were furious and wanted to attack. However, Yun Tiankong was a scheming person after all. He didn't get angry immediately and waved his hand to stop his subordinates from attacking. Don't attack. Just wait. He narrowed his eyes and stared at Xia Ping's group. He said indifferently, If I'm not wrong, you are called Xiaoxu and Sume. You're close to Nangong Wu. It is said that you come from a place called Cloud World. They were brought back from Cloud World by Nangong Wu's mother, Wang Fong. They are talented and are favored by Mingyue Court. I have never seen you before, but I know all of Nangong Wu's connections in Mingyue Court. I have never heard of you, so you must also come from Cloud World. He pointed at Xia Ping and said in a very firm tone. Nangong Wu's expression changed. She didn't expect Yun Tiankong to investigate everything around her so clearly. He knew all of her interpersonal relationships and immediately found out Xia Ping's true identity. Oh, so what if I come from Cloud World? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows and stared at Yun Tiankong in front of him. His body emitted a faint, murderous aura. Xiaoxu and Sume also narrowed their eyes and felt the unfriendly tone in Yun Tiankong's words. This direct descendant of the Yun family was probably not someone to be trifled with. So what? Hearing this, Yun Tiankong immediately laughed. The smile on his face was very ferocious. Boy, who do you think you are? A native from Cloud World. The difference between our status is like heaven and earth. It's like the clouds in the sky and the soil on the ground. However, I don't want to talk nonsense with a native like you. Now listen to me. Leave Nangong Wu immediately. Destroy your martial arts and break your limbs. Then, you will become a disabled person and crawl out of here like a dog. Otherwise, I, Yun Tiankong, and my Yun family will personally take action to eliminate the root of the problem. I will send a large number of experts to that Bulsh Astris T native Cloud World to capture your father and mother, as well as your brothers and friends. I want to see how arrogant you are at that time. How dare you speak loudly to me? Do you think you are so great just because you have a sharp tongue and mock me a little? It's ridiculous. In the universe, the weak are prey to the strong. If you don't have the strength, you should be a coward. Otherwise, you will be punished with the death of your entire family. Let me tell you the truth. I, Yun Tiankong, will take revenge for the smallest grievance. Anyone who dares to offend me will be exterminated. Not even chickens or dogs will be spared. Now, I can give you a chance. Kneel in front of me, kowtow, and beg for mercy. Admit your mistake. Maybe I will be in a good mood and be magnanimous. I will spare your dog life. Chapter 1656. Hearing this, Xia Ping's face was expressionless. He just looked at the sky as if he was looking at a dead person. Not bad at all. You have intelligence and shrewdness. You actually know how to use this to threaten me. Your words have indeed hit my weak spot, making me feel threatened. Qiuxue, Su Mei, and Nangong were familiar with Xia Ping's personality. The calmer he looked, the angrier he was. Deep in his heart, there was an endless amount of killing intent. Looks like you're a smart person. I don't need to waste my breath. Seeing Xia Ping submit, Yin Tiankong was very proud. Someone capture this guy, use the heavenly chains, and pierce his spine. Crush his limbs so he can't resist anymore. He ordered his subordinates to do it. He didn't care if this guy was convinced or not. In short, he was going to cripple him. Even if he was not convinced, there was nothing he could do. He had seen many arrogant and unruly people like Yin Tiankong, but after they were crippled, there was nothing they could do about it. Even if Yin Tiankong refused to accept it, he would not be able to do anything to him. Don't worry, young master. We've done this many times. This guy really doesn't know death. He even dared to touch young master's woman. I will make him wish he was dead. Hee. I will let him taste the pain of being dead. Let this native learn something. Immediately, 5 or 6 people from the Yin clan jumped at him. They looked like wolves and tigers. One of them was holding a heavenly chain. It was made of heavenly steel and was engraved with dense, suppressing runes. It was used to capture powerful cultivators. Once bound, their mana would be sealed. They would be weaker than a chicken and couldn't escape at all. Dong. However, the moment these people got close, Xia Ping immediately punched out. A terrifying force burst out from his body, shaking the surroundings. The whole planet seemed to be trembling slightly. The 6 people from the Yin clan who were close to Xia Ping screamed. They were like pigs being slaughtered. Their bodies couldn't withstand such a terrifying force. With a boom, their bodies exploded one by one, turning into minced meat in midair. Fresh blood sprayed everywhere as if it was free, dyeing the ground red. Even the incomparably hard, heavenly, profound chains in their hands were fiercely shaken into dozens of pieces by this force, and they turned into pieces of shattered iron that fell to the ground with clanking sounds. What? Before Yin Tian Kong Kong could react, and no one present could even notice Xia Ping's speed, in the next second his throat was grabbed by a big hand, and he was lifted up like a chicken. Yin Kong Tian screamed, and his face turned red. His legs kept kicking frantically in the air, trying to struggle, but it was to no avail. That big hand was filled with terrifying magic power, like a real dragon. It seeped into his 5 viscera and 6 bowels, forming a sealing array, completely sealing his magic power. Thus, he was like a little chick, unable to struggle or escape after his neck was grabbed. He was terrified to the extreme, but at the same time, he was also filled with grief and indignation. He felt extremely humiliated. Well, I had to know what kind of person Yin Kong Tian was. He was a powerhouse at the peak of the returning nature realm. He was only one step away from condensing the heaven and earth Dharma idol and becoming a Dharma idol. He was also a direct descendant of a Yun family and a true disciple of the mystic heaven sect. Be it his background or strength, they were both extremely terrifying. A single order from him could destroy dozens of planets. Even if he attacked alone, he could destroy a planet. Such a person was grabbed by the neck like a little chick and lifted up. This was the biggest humiliation in his life. It was an unimaginable scene. At this moment, Yin Kong Tian was terrified to the extreme. In his eyes, Xia Ping was just a native at the peak of the Golden Core realm, an ant that he could easily pinch to death. How could Xia Ping be compared to him? Just a few words from him was a fortuitous encounter and luck that this native could never find in his entire life. Who would have thought that this native would be so cruel? With just one move, he killed 5 to 6 of his Golden Core realm underlings. Even he himself was captured by one move, like a little chick, unable to resist. It could be said that this was the most powerless moment in his life. Even if he was a direct descendant of the Yun family, even if he was a true disciple of the Mystic Heaven sect, even if he had thousands of troops behind him, what was the use of that? No one could help him at this moment. His life and death were in the hands of this man in front of him. His heart was filled with fear like a drowning man. Native, what are you doing? Let go of young Master Yun. Do you know who you were trying to kill? Suddenly, A group of Yun family underlings were terrified to the extreme. The direct descendant of the Yun family was in danger, and his life was in danger. This immediately caused an uproar. The surrounding people shouted to stop Xia Ping from attacking. They were also extremely afraid because if Yun Tiankong was killed by a lowly native here, then, as Yun Tiankong's guards, they would not be able to escape the blame. They would be implicated and sentenced to death as well. One could imagine how terrified and uneasy they were right now. You should know what kind of force the Yun family is. A lowly native like you can't compare to them at all. If you let go of young Master Yun, then everything can be discussed. But if you kill young Master Yun, then there will be no room for negotiation. A subordinate of the Yun family tried to persuade Xia Ping and used both the carrot and the stick. You should know that when the Yun family is angry, the terror will be boundless. Not only will you die, but everyone around you will also die. Even the 9 generations of your family will be wiped out. Do you understand? He stared at Xia Ping, looking for a chance to save Yun Tiankong. However, he could not see any flaws in Xia Ping. Xia Ping's whole body was wrapped in a tyrannical energy. The ferocious power that had erupted in that instant had completely shocked him. If they rashly attacked, they would probably follow in the footsteps of the other Yun family underlings. Boom! At this moment, 4 figures descended from the sky. They were distributed in the 4 directions of the north, south, east, and west. They exuded a terrifying aura that enveloped the entire planet. The void seemed to have condensed into an earth-shattering Dharma idol. These 4 figures were all in the transcendence realm. They were all white-haired old men dressed in black. Their faces were somewhat similar to Yun Tiankong's. The Yun family's protectors, Qiu Xue, Su Mei, and Nangong Wu, were shocked. They immediately recognized that they were the Yun family's protectors. Legend has it that some large clans would secretly arrange protectors for their talented direct descendants, specifically to protect these talented descendants as they grew up smoothly. However, these protectors would not appear unless it was a life and death crisis. Otherwise, these talented descendants would definitely become lazy, and they would not be able to grow up. Chapter 1657. Young man, don't act rashly. An old man in a white robe said, "It was Yun Tiankong's fault just now. I apologize on his behalf, but killing him won't do you any good. It will only anger the Yun family. What good will it do you to provoke the Yun family? If Yun Tiankong dies, not only you, but all your family members will die with him. Is it worth it to pay such a price?" He put on a kind look and tried to persuade Yun Tiankong. "If you dare touch a hair on Yun Tiankong's head, I will not let you go. Your whole family will die." Another old man in a black robe said coldly with a murderous look. The 2 old men echoed each other. One had a white face, the other had a black face. The eyes of the other 2 Transcendence Realm experts flickered. They were watching Xia Ping's every move. They wanted to save Yun Tiankong immediately, but Xia Ping had no flaws. This was related to Yun Tiankong's life, so they didn't dare to let anything happen to him. If they didn't save him in time, Yun Tiankong would be crushed to death by this savage native. Qiu Xiu and the others felt suffocated. The appearance of 4 Transcendence Realm Masters in this place was too much pressure on them. Even in Mingyue Pavilion, they were existences of the elder level. They were superior and untouchable. But now, 4 Transcendence Realm experts attacked at the same time and surrounded this place. This was a situation of certain death. Bang! But as soon as the 2 Transcendence Realm experts finished speaking, Yun Tiankong suddenly let out a miserable howl. His face was ferocious, and there was unwillingness, fear, and regret in the depths of his eyes. However, before Yun Tiankong could say anything, his entire body exploded like a balloon bursting. His flesh was torn apart and instantly turned into a mass of minced meat. In this situation, even a god couldn't resurrect him. The surrounding people of the Yun family were stunned. Even if they were beaten to death, they would never have thought that Xia Ping would actually dare to do such a thing. He dared to crush Yun Tiankong to death in front of the 4 Transcendence Realm Masters. This could no longer be described as condescending. Even a deranged person wouldn't be able to do so. Lunatic, this native kid was definitely a super lunatic, the kind that couldn't be described with words. This bastard, Xiu, Nangong Wu, and Su Mei couldn't help but slap their foreheads. They had already expected Xia Ping's character and knew that he would never willingly submit to others. But they didn't think that Yin Tiankong would be so cruel. Killing Yin Tiankong in front of his protector was no longer as simple as slapping his face. It was simply forming a blood feud that would not end until one of them was dead. Seeing this situation, the white-robed old man's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He was so angry that he almost went mad. He screamed, "Little bastard, I told you to stop, but you didn't stop. You killed a direct descendant of a Yun family in front of me. Do you really want to die and have your entire family exterminated?" He couldn't believe his eyes at all. Under his persuasion, even an idiot would know how to weigh the pros and cons and know how to make a choice instead of fighting to the death. However, this brat didn't play by the rules and directly pinched Yun Tiankong to death, shedding all pretenses of cordiality on the spot and immediately opposing them with equal harshness. He didn't know what was wrong with this kid. Was he not afraid of death? Was he not afraid of implicating his family? He dared to use my family to threaten me. At that time, he had already committed a crime punishable by death. Xia Ping said coldly, "Moreover, even if I really let Yin Tiankong go, according to that guy's character, will your Yin family really let me go? If you turn against me on the spot and refuse to acknowledge your debt, what can I do to you?" In fact, this was the Yin family's elders' plan. They planned to deceive Xia Ping into releasing Yin Tiankong. Then, they would immediately turn against him and kill him. Then, they would go to the cloud world and kill this native's parents, clansmen, and friends. They would kill the chicken to scare the monkey and show the Yun family's dignity. This wasn't because the Yun family was cruel and inhumane, but because it was the basic law of the universe. The weak were prey to the strong. If they let the enemy escape, it might become a disaster in the future. It might become one of the factors that led to the Yun family's decline and destruction. Therefore, they believed in killing the enemy and killing the entire family. Nonsense, lowly native. Even if we turn against you and kill your entire family, so what? It doesn't matter how many of you lowly, filthy, and stupid natives die. How can you be compared to the direct descendants of the Yun family? The black-robed old man roared at the top of his lungs, and he had a savage expression on his face. "Elders, there's no need to waste your breath on this lowly native. Attack immediately and eliminate him. Then go to his hometown and annihilate his entire clan." They were angry, furious. At this moment, the 4 elders of the Yun family were completely furious. Yin Tiankong was a direct descendant of the Yun family and a genius that only appeared once in 1,000 years. In less than a few hundred years, he had reached the peak of the returning nature realm. In time, he would definitely become a Thunder Tribulation realm expert. He might even have a chance to become a sage. Therefore, such a genius of the Yin family was highly valued by the higher-ups. Yin Tiankong was trained at all costs. The higher-ups of the Yin family even sent 4 guardians to protect him day and night. This was to prevent the Yin family from being harmed by a villain. But now, a genius of the Yin family had been killed by a native. Furthermore, it had been done right in front of his protector. This was no longer just a simple humiliation. This was a declaration of war against the Yun family. Boom! The 4 elders of the Yun family did not even need to think. They immediately attacked. For terrifying beams of cold light shot towards Xia Ping. Along the way, everything began to collapse. The chi of heaven and earth within a radius of 10,000 miles tumbled and roared. It was filled with an earth-shattering, destructive aura. "It's over." Xiu, Nangong Wu, and Su Mei's faces were pale. They could feel the terrifying power of a transcendence realm expert. In front of this aura, they were like a small boat in a storm. They could be destroyed at any time. They looked worriedly at Xia Ping, who bore the brunt of the attack. "You're just 4 ants. Do you think that because you're a transcendence realm expert, you can do whatever you want and act arrogantly in front of me? You're seeking your own death." With a thump, Xia Ping suddenly trembled. He took out a Dharma treasure, the dragon-trapping pillar. Boom! In an instant, with the dragon-trapping pillar as the center, a huge golden energy shield appeared within a radius of 100,000 miles. It shrouded everything like an eggshell. Within the range of this domain, many restrictive formations appeared. A terrifying domain spread out in all directions, covering every living being. What? Chapter 1658. Impossible. My cultivation level is only at the golden core realm. You bastard. What did you do to us? What kind of technique is this? The four Transcendence Realm cultivators were shocked. They couldn't understand why this had happened. They were Transcendence Realm cultivators, but their cultivation levels had been sealed, and they were reduced to the same level as this kid. For a moment, they were panicking. Without the absolute suppression of their cultivation levels, how could they deal with this kid? How could they take revenge? The other subordinates of the Yun family were also shocked. If Yi Fuqian had a technique that could lower the elders' cultivation levels, they would be doomed today. None of them would be able to escape. He has such a technique. Qiu Xue, Su Mei, and Nangong Wu's eyes lit up. No wonder Xiaoping was so fearless even when facing the Transcendence Realm cultivators. He had such an invincible technique. If these Transcendence Realm cultivators' cultivation levels were sealed and they could only use the strength of the Golden Core Realm, then there was nothing to be afraid of. Instead, they should be the ones afraid. What technique? Isn't the Yun family a big family in the universe? Isn't it fierce and powerful? You can kill entire families at any time. Why aren't you acting arrogant now? Xiaoping sneered. You were trying to show off just now. Do you really think you're invincible and unstoppable? Let me tell you the truth. All of you will die today. You will go to hell with Yun Tiankong. Because of what you've done, the Yun family will be exterminated. Everyone in the family will die. A terrifying, murderous aura emanated from his body. He had no scruples. Martial path, divine power, lightning fist. Xiaoping instantly made his move, unleashing a thunderbolt killer move. His entire body was enveloped by a terrifying thunderbolt energy. One after another, thunder dragons appeared in the void, roaring. The endless lightning energy strengthened his body and condensed into thunder runes. When he punched, it was extremely terrifying. It was like a lightning spear piercing through the void. Wait, you can't kill me. You can't kill me. I'm the great elder of the Yun family. I have the support of a Thunder Tribulation Realm cultivator. I'm an important part of the Yun family. If you kill me, aren't you afraid of the Yun family's revenge? The white-robed elder screamed in horror. The dragon-trapping pillar sealed his cultivation, preventing him from using the power of the Transcendence Realm. Facing Xiaoping's killing move, he was terrified to the extreme and felt the aura of impending death. He roared again and again, hoping to stop Xiaoping. At this moment, he was no longer a high and mighty Transcendence Realm cultivator. Instead, he was a pitiful person who was afraid of death. In the face of death, he was scared like a quail. Dong! But before he could finish speaking, Xiaoping's fist pierced through his chest. No matter how the white-robed old man used his divine abilities, in front of this lightning spear, he was as weak as an idiot. With a cautious sound, his entire body exploded, turning into a lump of meat paste. He died on the spot. Oh my God! The surrounding Yun family subordinates were scared half to death. This was a Transcendence Realm mighty figure. Even in a sacred-level sect, he would be a terrifying existence at the level of an elder. He was second only to one person and above millions. But now, he was actually killed by a single punch. He died in an incomparably miserable manner without any ability to resist. Little B asterisk starred, I'm going to kill you. Seeing his companion die, a black-robed elder was shocked and angry. He was extremely sad and indignant. He formed a seal with both hands, planning to use a supreme killing move. Even if he was at the same cultivation level as this kid, he wouldn't lose to anyone. Bang! But before he could do anything, Xiaoping rushed forward and punched again. The black-robed elder's chest was pierced on the spot. A bloody hole appeared, and a large amount of blood flowed out. The terrifying power of lightning destroyed everywhere in his body, causing continuous explosions. No, no, no. I can't accept this. I'm an elder of the Yun family, a transcendence realm mighty figure. I can still live for countless years and have a long life. I can still do whatever I want in the Yun family and the universe. Whoever dares to provoke me, I'll destroy their entire family. But now I'm dead. I was killed by a Golden Core Jr. I can't accept this. The black-robed elder roared into the sky. His tone was filled with hatred and unwillingness. But in the next second, his entire body shattered into pieces. His soul collapsed, and he died on the spot. Demon, this is a peerless demon. He's not human. Immediately send a signal to inform the Yun family's ancestor and the Shintian sect. Tell them to send experts here quickly to kill this demon. At the same time, immediately send people to the cloud world and destroy his entire family. Kill all those lowly natives. Avenge us! Avenge us! Another red-robed elder roared. He had attacked Xia Ping with his life on the line. In order to save his life, he told the others to retreat. He wanted to stall Xia Ping and fight for a chance of survival. As soon as he finished speaking, a pair of wings appeared on Xia Ping's back. Those were the wings of the Golden Crow of Hell. They shook the air and instantly moved above the red-robed elder. He was expressionless, but killing intent rose in his heart. He had to eliminate this kind of ruthless transcendence realm mighty figure. Otherwise, there would be endless trouble and his family would be implicated. Dong! A palm slammed down from the sky. The palm lines were like Tao patterns. They were densely packed and contained starlight. It was as if a star was falling. It was extremely terrifying. The red-robed elder didn't even have time to react. In the next second, the top of his head was shattered into pieces. His soul collapsed. But at this time, many of the Yun family subordinates quickly spread the news and sent out a distress signal. They hoped that the Shintian sect or the Yun family's ancestor would come to help. However, even if they received the signal, they wouldn't be able to come in time. This place was too far away. By the time they arrived, it would be too late. Even so, they had to send out this news and let the Yun family take revenge for them. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. I'm an elder of the Yun family. I've always been the one who kills people and exterminates entire families. No one has ever dared to kill me. But today, I'm being chased by a Golden Core Jr. like a stray dog. How is this possible? The remaining elder of the Yun family had collapsed. They were protectors, the kind that were invincible. Even if they encountered a mighty figure in the Thunder Tribulation realm, they would still have a chance to escape. But now, they were being forced into such a desperate situation by a Golden Core Jr. Even if they were beaten to death, they wouldn't have thought that something like this could happen in the world. Especially when he saw the three elders of the same level as him being beaten up one by one. He was even more devastated. Whoosh! He quickly retreated and used his extreme speed to try to avoid the attack. His face was filled with fear, but it was useless. Xiaoping was just too fast. He was like a Kuan Peng that had escaped into the void. With a light flap of his wings, he arrived in front of the elder in an instant. With a boom, just one punch, and his head exploded like a watermelon. Die. Chapter 1659. They're all dead. Seeing this scene, Nangong Wu, Qiu Shui, and Su Mei were all dumbstruck. Originally, when Yun Kongtian's four protectors appeared, they thought that they were dead meat. However, they had never imagined that Xia Ping would actually display such divine might. With a wave of his hand, he completely annihilated this group of people. Even their Tao protector was killed on the spot. Even though they knew that Xia Ping's current strength was extraordinary, they didn't expect it to be this tyrannical. He could even beat an elder to death. Even if he borrowed the power of a magic treasure, the treasure itself was a part of the cultivator's strength. Xia Ping, you killed Yin Tiankong and the others. Aren't you afraid of revenge? Xiushi was worried. They dare to threaten me with my family. They deserve to die. As for revenge, they haven't even seen me. How can they get revenge? Xiaoping said calmly. There were countless people in the universe who wanted to kill him. The Yin family was nothing. Oh no. At this moment, Nangong Wu's expression changed. I know why Yin Kong Tian and the others suddenly appeared in Minghui Court's star area. They came to Minghui Court with the elders of Xintian sect to discuss with our elders about entering the heaven-accessing secret land. Now that they know about Yin Kongtian's death, they are furious and trying their best to arrest him. Not only the elder of the Black Heaven sect, but also the elder of Minghui Court. We'd better run away quickly. Otherwise, we'll be dead. She received a lot of news. The moment the disciples of the Yun family died, the distress signal was sent out. The elders of the mysterious Heaven sect and many other elders of the Yun family found out about this. They flew into a rage, and their hearts were filled with rage. How can we escape? This is the territory of Minghui Court. They came here in an instant. If the saints are alerted, we won't be able to escape, Su Mei said in a low voice. This kind of small matter won't alert the saints. Don't worry too much. Xiaoshu shook her head. For the saints, Yin Tiankong was just one of the geniuses. They had seen countless geniuses in their long life, and countless had fallen. They wouldn't be shaken by the death of a genius. They wouldn't come out of their closed-door training unless there was a crisis that could shake the foundation of the sect. Where is the Yun family's territory? Xiaoping suddenly asked. It's in the star field ruled by the profound Heaven sect. It's on one of the planets, the Yun planet. This is public information, so it's easy to find. But why are you asking about this? Nangong Wu replied casually. It can't be. Could it be that you want to destroy the Yun family? Are you crazy? Xiao Xue and Su Mei's eyes widened. They immediately understood what Xiaoping was thinking. If you want to kill someone, kill their entire family. You have to be ruthless. If you don't remove the roots, they will grow again. Since they dare to threaten me, they should be prepared for an all-out war. A cold light flashed in Xiaoping's eyes. Moreover, the Yin family is rich and powerful. If they discover the existence of the cloud world, can you guarantee that they won't attack the cloud world? Nangong Wu, Qiu Xue, and Su Mei were all silent. To be honest, under the fury of the Yun family, they would definitely investigate the cause of Yun Tiankong's death in detail. Moreover, they would probably be investigated and might even be implicated. For a big family like that, there was no need for evidence. It was just to vent their anger. The other party probably wouldn't care about the destruction of a mere native land. But even so, even if they knew the threat of the Yun family, would the Yun family be so easy to destroy? Xiaoping, don't be impulsive. The Yun family isn't an ordinary family. They have a total of 13 Thunder Retribution Realm experts. They are all elders of the profound Heaven sect. They can be considered a force under the protection of the profound Heaven sect. Nangong Wu said what she knew. Even if some Thunder Retribution Realm experts go out to train and look for opportunities to pass the Heaven Retribution, there are at least 7 or 8 Thunder Retribution Realm experts on the Yun planet. There are countless other experts. If you want to go to the Yun planet, you're not looking for trouble, you're looking for death. She looked at Xiaoping seriously. The other party's force was no less than her mother's Wang family. To some extent, his force was even more powerful than the declining Wang family. Therefore, the Wang family wanted to unite with the Yun family through marriage. Let's go. Xiaoping didn't want to talk nonsense with Nangong Wu. His current strength was not something Nangong Wu could imagine. Then, he quickly went to the Thunder Retribution Realm cave abode. After looting all the treasures inside, he brought Nangong Wu, Qiu Xue, and Su Mei to the stars. After all, if the 3 of them were to stay here, it would be a little troublesome if they encountered the elders of Minghui Court and the profound Heaven sect. They might be in danger. An hour after Xiaoping and the others left the planet, a huge spaceship broke through space and flew over. It instantly arrived at the place where Xiaoping and the Yun family had fought. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Cultivators with powerful auras walked out of the spaceship and stood in the air. They were all elders of Minghui Court and the profound Heaven sect. They were at least in the Transcendence realm. At this moment, their faces were extremely gloomy. Their powerful divine senses covered the entire planet. They searched up and down, trying to find the many clues left here. However, no matter how they searched, they couldn't find any clues. Damn it, the bandits have already escaped. We can't find any trace of them. An elder of the profound heaven sect had a very ugly expression. He was very unwilling. After receiving the SOS signal from a Yun family, they rushed over without stopping, but they didn't expect that they would still be too late. Even Yun Tiankong and the 4 guardians of the Yun family were killed. Who on earth did this? The elder of Mingyue court frowned. He couldn't figure out the key point. According to the SOS signal, the reason is because of the 3 disciples of Mingyue court. An elder of the profound heaven sect sneered and said, especially that Nangong Wu. She was clearly married to Yun Tiankong and was his fiancée. How could she come to this remote place to meet her lover? As for Yun Tiankong, when he saw this scene, his heart was filled with rage. He confronted the adulterer, but he didn't think that the adulterer would kill Yun Tiankong and even kill his 4 Dao protectors. This time, it's all the fault of Mingyue court. You don't follow the rules of a woman. How did you teach your disciples? This was the information he received from the SOS signal. Of course, this was also embellished by the Yun family subordinates. They pushed the blame to the side that benefited them. This is only your side of the story. Who knows what really happened? The elder of Mingyue court suppressed his anger and said, if Nangong Wu, Qiushua, and Sumei really did this, I won't forgive them easily. I will definitely give you an explanation. A cold light flashed in her eyes. That's good.